Oh no, I was muted, but we are here. We are back. Happy Valentine's Day, everybody. Don't you just feel the love, the romance in the air? Aren't you just ready to grab your waifu by the body pillow and squeeze her tight and let her know you're never letting go? How's it going, everybody? What's going on? It's another Friday night. It is, as I said, Valentine's Day, but we are here. We are back for another episode of The Good, the Mad, the Ugly. Guys, I am so. Oh, low audio. No! This is going to be crazy if it actually went down because that's a new one, guys. That is legitimately a new one. I fixed the audio right before I hit start streaming, and the second I hit that button, it decided my system decided it wanted to drop everything down. Don't know what's going on there, but you know what to expect here from The Good, the Mad, the Ugly. But anyway, guys, more to the point. I am so sorry for that delay. So here's what was going on. At around 5 o'clock, 5 o'clock my time, which will be like an hour before the show starts. I had to go run and grab an order from my local game store for a bunch of Magic cards that I bought. Right. So we get out there. I take my sister because she has to do some errands. So we're running around. We're out there. I'm on my way back home. And I don't know about you guys, but here in Arizona, something happens at like twilight hours where people just do not, they forget how to drive. They start driving exceptionally slow. They start braking in the middle of nothing. So I was literally spending these last, how late are we? We're about 50 minutes late. This last hour was spent just trying to get home. And then, as I mentioned in the chat, I should have been here about 20 minutes ago, but I ran into it while I was stuck in traffic. I hit another traffic issue, which was a bunch of cops pulled somebody over, right? Just, I don't know what it was. It looked like it was just some sort of, speeding or whatever. But where they pulled them off and how they pulled them over led to they had to scoot people into a lane, and then people were slowing down to be looky-loos. We all know how that goes. So I kind of was just running into the what do you want to call it? The all-star roster of awful traffic problems. But that aside, yes, do not worry, Sakuramita, as you pointed out. I will be giving you guys an extra 40 minutes. We're not cutting down the show time at all tonight. We will still be going for our 2.5 hours minimum. Who knows? Maybe we'll go longer because tonight, guys, yes, as I put in the thumbnail, as we mentioned at the top of the show, it is Valentine's Day. And I hope everybody out there with a significant other is having a great day. I hope you go celebrate if that's your thing. But if not, I welcome you guys to all hang out here, right? How do I put this? How do I frame this? How do I roll into what I want to say? So I acknowledge that a lot of us out there, we're single. It might not be fun. It might be, a little heartbreaking. It might be a little sad. But I want to, I guess, take a moment of Mav wisdom, right? Because as somebody who is very much one of those, romantic emo boys who's had his heart broken and all that sort of fun stuff and been in those mentalities before when I was younger, I know how much it can hurt and how much it can get lonely. But I want to say to everybody out there, don't really, I know it's hard, but don't let, being single or not having somebody today drag you down, because you know what? You don't need somebody else to validate who you are, to have a good life, to have fun. Take it from me, right? I've had relationships. I've been in long-term ones, short-term ones, all that fun stuff, but I'm still very, very happy being single, being who I am, just hanging out tonight, just chilling. So with that, I hope I can at least break your monotony tonight, give you guys a place to hang out, distract you for a little bit, because if you don't want to talk about romance or any of that fun stuff, don't worry. We have actually, I don't want to say quite a lot to talk about, but we actually do have some topics to get into tonight. Obviously, there is the whole Gwen Stacy, Marvel Comics, whatever they're going to be doing in the near future with her character, which we will definitely get into. And then, we're going to talk about this. Zero brings it up. Smash JT just destroyed his own career. I just saw that before I hopped on. We will break it down. We'll get into it because I think this is definitely up our wheelhouse, right? So we have things to talk about tonight, and if not, we have things to talk about tonight, and if we ever run into a point where we have a gap of some sort or we don't know what to talk about, this is Good Mav Ugly. This is a show where I talk to you guys. I'm here for you. Drop any, comments, questions. We'll see how the conversation goes. You guys know how the show goes. Sakura, heads up. I see your comments and stuff, but again, this is the way the show flows. I can't always address things right away or at all, right? If the opportunity comes up where I can address it, I'll address it, but I can't stop at every comment to address it right then and there, because otherwise it would be a very, very choppy flow of a show. But yeah, so we'll be talking about all of that fun stuff. We'll be talking about Gwen Stacy. We'll be talking about Smash. I don't know. We'll have a lot to talk about. This is Good Mav Ugly. But before we get into any of those main topics tonight, let's say hello to everybody in the chat. Obviously, we started off tonight with Zero Cent laughing his ass off at presumably my thumbnail about Gwen Stacy. We have Corey, what is going on? Beating Andrew to the punch with gay. We also have, as you guys saw, we have Sakura. We have freaking Punk. What's going on, amigos? We also have Andrew, of course. Guys, quick shout out, spirit bomb energy moment to Andrew. This past week, Andrew has been suffering from the flu. As you guys all know, last week he went to MegaCon, had an awesome time meeting all of you guys out there, hanging with the Rip It crew, running all that fun stuff. But unfortunately, as soon as our boy got back into the back to his battle station, he came down with what we thought was a case of con crud, but unfortunately evolved into like a full-blown flu. So that's why you probably haven't seen him being very active on social media lately. That is why we unfortunately did not have a foil variant last night, and that's probably why I don't know how tomorrow's going to go, but for the foreseeable future, Andrew is recovering, and I wish him all the best. I message him every day. I'm like, dude, I haven't talked to you today, and it's weird, and I miss you, but I know you're recovering, so get back at it. So all that to say, Andrew, get better. If you're hanging out, that's awesome, but yeah, we miss you, buddy. All healing energies out to our boy. Let's see. Zero also says, I was playing Donkey Kong Country Returns. I don't know about you guys, but I feel like every Donkey Kong game that's come out in like recent years has been pretty damn good, right? Like Tropical Freeze. Here's the problem. Maybe like Zero will help me out because I know he's more Nintendo oriented than I, but like I know that there was like Donkey Kong Country Returns, and then like they re-released it, and then there was Tropical Freeze, and they re-released it, and then they added like a super. I don't know what all the releases are. I just know that every time I've been handed a Donkey Kong game, like a controller in the last 10 years, they've always managed to be pretty damn good. Like I've never been, I think the most disappointed I've been in like a Donkey Kong game was that, were those Mario versus Donkey Kong games. You guys remember that for the like Game Boy Advance? They weren't bad. They were just sort of weird. Like they were like Lemming style puzzle games, right? Where you would like make your little Mario things, like walk in a certain way. Cool idea, but it's sort of one of those ones where I'm like, I kind of can't, like, you're advertising this as Mario versus Donkey Kong. They haven't done that in forever, and we got that. Weird. But aside from that, everything has been pretty good, except, unfortunately, which like breaks my heart, the Diddy Kong Racing DS game. It wasn't that great. It was kind of very, very mediocre, and it breaks my heart because to me, I love Diddy Kong Racing probably the most out of any kart racer arcade thing, like multiplayer game that we have on the market, right? More than Mario Kart, more than, is that really all we have? Like, I don't want to say more than like Sonic and Friends, like All-Star Racing Transform, because that gets really close to what I love about Diddy Kong Racing, which is the constant ability to either switch your vehicles or to race against different vehicles and then have like different and alternate routes to go through. I've always wanted another one of those, but we're never going to get it. The DS Diddy Kong Racing was all right. But yeah, good on DK, I guess is what I'm getting at, right? Volume Dealer, what is going on? Yes, absolutely late. As I was explaining, I had some traffic issues. Who said this up here? Yeah, Timon totally got me. Here it is when it rains. Everyone forgets how to drive properly. That is, it's funny you bring that up because That's what it was like in California. As I know, like Andrew, maybe Jacob, if he's like watching in the background, can attest to, when you're in like when you live in California, the second you get not even rain, right? Like the overcast starts and you get maybe like the 1, 2, 3 little drizzles where you're like, oh, it's gonna be raining soon. As soon as that hits in California, everybody just goes, I don't know what to do, and they like unbuckle and start driving with their butt. It is the most awful thing. And I now I'm like very curious because if you guys remember like a second ago when I was talking about Arizona, I was like, something happens when like the twilight hours hit, when the sun starts setting. So I wonder like what it is in each state that makes everybody just not know how to drive anymore, because it very much happens. Also, shout out to Timon. Apparently, as you guys all know, our boy is Brazilian based, but he is apparently working on his visa to make it to next year's Vegas meetup. This year's. Either way, super cool. Just wanted to shout that out and take this moment to reply, because I definitely didn't on Twitter because I got distracted. But yeah, like super cool that you might be visiting. You know, if you go to that Vegas meetup, I guess I'm going to have to go, right? Like, I'm not, of course I want to meet everybody, but if like the man from Brazil is coming on up, then of course I got to go see. And then I also know that our boy Josh, you know, BIC editor, my second in command over there, until Cider stepped up, but he wants to come visit the U.S. So everybody come on up, as long as you're just visiting. Yep, there he is. Andrew says, been dead, probably won't do my afternoon stream tomorrow either, but we'll see. Yeah, that's kind of what I was getting at, is I really don't expect you to be in the saddle yet, and if I had my way, I would, like, give you, like, a prescription, like, doctor's orders to go lay down and not do anything until foil variant, all right? You get the entire next week off. But, yes, figured you probably weren't back up to speed yet. I just wanted to let everybody know, because I know you and I share a lot of crossover viewers. But yes, heart goes out to you. Again, I just had the chills, as you all remember, like 2 months ago, and the flu and everything. So hearing Andrew go through it, I'm just like, dude, not only do I get it, like I freshly get it. So my heart goes out to you. Well, no. Okay, so let me correct that, Zero. Maybe I may have misspoke, but I definitely played I've played all of the like SNES, NES, N64. I mean, there was only one. There was DK64, but I've played all of those. I meant like ever since the like Wii era. Yeah, probably like the Wii era when they did like Donkey Kong Country Returns or Tropical Freeze or whatever it was back then in like 2009. That I played that one, and then from there everything gets murky, because if you guys noticed, 2009, 2008, that was Spencer's gaming black hole era when I was in college and I was too busy. We've talked about it before. So I've played those old Donkey Kong Country Returns, and I like those are some of the best video games. Just like as a full art form, mechanically, artistically, visually, every bit of presentation that goes into those games, absolutely phenomenal. Number 2, the one with Diddy and Trixie, so we've talked about this before, but when I was younger, I was really poor growing up. So I got lucky enough to get, you know, some consoles handed down to me through friends or family or whatever. And but that meant I didn't really have a lot of games. I had to rely on, you know, again, hand-me-downs or like really intense sales or what have you. Oftentimes I had to wait until like the Blockbuster sales, you know, when they're like, we're selling the cartridges we rented out, and they're in awful condition, but you can get them for like $3 or whatever. So yeah, one of the games in that SNES library I had when I was growing up was Donkey Kong Country 2. And I played that game to the point where, like, not only did I beat it, obviously, but you know the podium at the end where you have to collect all the, like, DK coins and it'll, you know, 1, 2, 3. I topped it because I was like, there's probably some link there. If I could get, like, hypnotized and have, like, my memories, you know, regress back to childhood, there's probably a link between the fact that I saw that, like, because I didn't have a lot of games, I went, oh, there's a challenge to do in Donkey Kong Country 2, get all those coins. I'm gonna do that. And nowadays, I'm very much a like challenge completionist when it comes to video games. Not like a trophy hunter, but I'm not gonna back down from like a boss fight. I'm not gonna err away from like an optional side quest. I'm gonna try and do all of that stuff. I might not necessarily sit and try to get every item or whatever to 100, but I'll at least try to experience and like complete everything. So there's probably some crazy link in my brain there. But yeah, I love those old SNES Donkey Kongs. Timon says, in Brazil, we call it Day of the Lover, but it is celebrated on June 12th, the eve of St. Anthony's / Antonio's Day, Saint Patron of Marriage. I actually didn't know that. I didn't know, I kind of figured it was sort of universal because, yeah, it's a Catholic like saint and all that, Saint Valentine. This is actually like really cool to me. Obviously, you guys know me. I'm very secular. I don't, particularly believe in a specific religion. So when it comes to like saints and stuff, that stuff is just sort of fascinating to me. From sort of like an anthropological standpoint, they feel like Catholic superheroes. Like when I read about saints, I'm like, oh, appendix to the Marvel Catholic universe or whatever. You know what I mean? Whoop. And yeah, so yeah, I definitely loved all those Donkey Kong games, Zero. Don't worry, I have gamer cred. Unlike people working for a certain news outlet with the initials FP, I actually know what I'm talking about, and I've actually played video games, and I actually like them. So you know that you can give me the benefit of the doubt, you jerk. Let's see. There, yeah, exactly, Andrew. Everyone forgets how to drive the second a few like water droplets hit their windshield. It is, I know you were more up north, Andrew, like when you were in California, but when I obviously, I spent the first 29 years of my life in California, Southern California, living in San Diego, LA, Irvine, all those places. In LA, we all know that they have the infamous highway problems. Like the traffic is awful. Like when I lived in LA, I lived actually right next to the Sony Pictures lot. Like the actual movie studio was a street over. Like when I would go to my favorite like Mexican food place when I was really drunk, I would see a bunch of like crew members like grips and all that stuff, like getting their food at like 2 a.m. because that was their lunch break for whatever they were shooting. Never saw any like celebrities or whatever. But more to the point is I lived in this rather central area of LA where I was big sort of traffic business area, and I was close to pretty much every freeway. That was one of the reasons I picked that location. And if I wanted to travel more than 4 or 5 miles on side streets to like the grocery store, I had to make sure I left my house at like 10 a.m. Otherwise, you are hitting like 5 o'clock traffic at 11 o'clock. I never understood what it was, but you combine that with that rain thing Andrew and I are talking about, everything goes worse because now you're all jammed up. Nobody wants to drive anymore. People are stopping it. It's a nightmare. So in my future dictatorship, we are going to, my first order is to make all cities like Coruscant, right? And I want super intricate multi-level layer flying car highways where nobody is ever going to have to get in a traffic jam or any of that fun stuff. At the very least, I want Futurama tube technology. Let's see. Yeah, you'll be obligated to go. I will. I absolutely will. The thing is, I always want to go, meet a lot of people. I want to meet Andrew. I want to meet, Jonas, Marvin, pretty much everybody over at TPP. Like everybody at that game place, Culture Casino, Comics, all the people I've talked to forever. It's just sort of one of those logistical money, blah, 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 blah sort of things. So I definitely am going, I want to probably now more than ever meet up with people. and yes, a lot of that has to do with the fact that now I'm friends with Andrew, and we have a show and we talk all the time, and I've at least got to give him like a handshake, right, in real life. So I if you're there, that's like, again, it's the incentive. It's just like if if nobody from out of town was coming, I'd be like, I'll probably, maybe I'll catch you at the next one. But if you're going like, oh, me and Josh and I don't know, just bring them along, zeros in my luggage, and we're all coming up from South America to go to the meetup, that's when you're like, okay, I gotta like make my way, because that's not something that just happens all the time. But no, it might be really cool. It's just all about that logistic stuff. But like, I want to meet Jacob. Fun fact, like none of the bounding team have had the opportunity to actually meet each other in real life, which I am very bummed about. A lot of that has to do with we can't. It's a big investment for our investor, like our parent company, who again, they don't tell us what to do, guys, regardless of what everybody, what like JDA and all that bullshit when he says, oh, bounding is controlled now, they're shilled. Not true. We just have, investors. And when I have my weekly meeting with, my boss, I guess you could call him, basically he just goes, what's up with the site? I go, this, da, 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 da. And he goes, what do you think you're going to do this week to like for the numbers? And I go, boom, boom, boom. And he goes, cool, I'll leave you to it. Same with Cider. Cider doesn't have anybody over his shoulder going, like, don't do that. Don't do that. We pretty much have our own freedom there. I of course, have put in some editorial standards as the editor-in-chief, right? Which is, again, not telling anybody what to say or what to think, but be very selective in your language. Be very smart in the way you communicate things. I don't want my writers because A, I know my writers are capable of actually explaining the problems they have with things and communicating that what it is with you, whether it's Nerdigans with anime or Ryan with video games or Jacob with movies. But you as readers, right? Like you guys or as an audience, you don't get anything out of somebody just going, oh, this is woke and stupid, right? Like you can make up your own opinions on that. We want to be able to provide you like, yeah, this is the information. Here's actual stuff about it. So I don't even know where I was going with that. But the long story short is, yeah, it's just a lot to, get 6 or 7 people who are from all over the country and, 1 or 2 people who are foreign, find a place to meet us all up and, pay for expenses. And it's just a lot. It's not impossible. It's just a lot. So I've really been trying to angle for some convention to get all of the bounding team together. At this point, I know I'm sort of drifting away from the community meetups to like bounding, and I'm sort of like just thinking out loud now. But yeah, meetups, I think meetups are cool. I want to meet people in real life. I want to buy people some beers. I want to have some beers with people. You know what I mean? Andrew says Donkey Kong Country 2 was the ish. Goated soundtrack too. Oh man, so much of that soundtrack is like what I call for myself like idle music, right? Like for example, I know Andrew knows this one at least, but you guys know when I'm sitting here trying to fix something on the OBS layout or pull up a link, what do I always hum, or like what do I always sort of sing? The Jurassic Park theme, because that's sort of just one of those idle pieces of music that is stuck in my head. And Donkey Kong Country 2, I have so many of them, like the da 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 ba da 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 da, and then the very faint like boo doo doo of the underwater. I just, yes, the soundtrack is goated. Now I really do want to go play that game. Like I have so many new games I need to play. I've got Rebirth. I've got Warriors, whatever the new roguelite Warriors game is. I don't even know the name. I was just excited when I saw it at the State of Play, and of course it's a Muso game. Of course I'm gonna be on it. So like I got that to play. I've got Sonic and Shadow Generations. I still need to make sure that I log in and play enough of Marvel Rivals to keep my competitive rank up. So always drop your topics to discuss, Sakura. Again, I don't want anybody to feel like I don't want you to share. I do want you to share, and I want to be able to address everything we can. whenever. It just sometimes it's all flow and topic dependent. So I do want, like, if you want to share it, I do want to get to it. It's just, it might be a minute, and it's not that I forget. It's just sort of like that's the that's how live flows go. So yeah, obviously drop something. And you know what? I'll even give a I'll even help you out here and do a show of goodwill. Here is the question that Sakura proposed before I logged on, and I was going to answer a little later, but we can talk about it right now. What if the Venom symbiote possessed Mary Jane after Spider-Man removed the symbiote suit? I wouldn't have liked that. Narratively, I think there might have been something interesting you could have done, seeing the symbiote latch on to the person Peter loves the most, and see where that sort of, because we all know that there is sort of a romantic, I don't want to say romance, they're not going out on dinner dates or whatever, but there is some sort of intimate connection, that's probably better, between the symbiote and Peter. And so amplifying that in Mary Jane, I think there might have been something cool you could do, but I am a big fan of what McFarlane and Michelin did, David Michelin, the actual writer creator of Venom. Remember that, guys. Most comic book characters have two creators. It's going to be the artist and it's going to be the writer of whatever series they're on. Sometimes there might be an editor who also gets some input, but they don't normally get credit. That whole stupid situation with Deadpool aside, which I strongly disagree with. So yeah, a lot of people go, oh yeah, Todd McFarlane was Venom. And it's no, it was Todd and David. But what they did with the whole, Peter ditches the suit. We all know the scene, or at least we all have probably seen or heard or somebody talk about the scene where after Venom is hunting down Peter, Mary Jane is at home and she's like, oh, Peter, is that you? And she hears somebody walking around in the house, and she turns around and it's Venom, fangs out, dripping green blood, and she's terrified, and he kidnaps her and it leads to a showdown. And ever since then, Mary Jane has been absolutely, legitimately, for good reason, terrified of symbiotes. That's the entire reason why Peter actually ditches the black suit altogether. Because if you remember, after the symbiote, he gets a cotton, or not cotton, but a spandex normal version of his black suit. After the Venom thing, MJ's I can't do it. That needs to go. And I actually like that dynamic a little bit more than a generic sort of, oh, we're both Venom sort of comic book angle. So again, that if that happened, we would be living in a different timeline, and I'd probably be having the exact same opposite reaction. But I think that's probably, again, it's really hard for me to say what if this, because unless you're asking for would this have been good, would this have been bad, if you ask what if, I could find a zillion scenarios where something could work, or a zillion scenarios where something couldn't. And yeah, there are ways an MJ symbiote could work, and there are ways it wouldn't. In particular, I think there's something really fun to play with. If you guys remember, this is, I saw this thread on Twitter last night, and I really wanted to, or I didn't want to, but now we're on the topic of it, so I'm just going to discuss it. A lot of people in recent years have sort of forgotten what the symbiote actually was. It is not evil. The actual symbiote is not evil. What the symbiote does is it sort of amplifies your emotions, and also sort of tries to emulate and tries to have that symbiotic relationship with its host. So, when Peter, was struggling with the symbiote, it wasn't oh, you're turning me evil. It was, I don't know what you're doing to me. This is all very scary. This was not what I signed up for. Bit of a knee-jerk reaction, but I like that. That adds more of more depth, more sort of, sorry guys, my system just turned on the heater in my house, and where I am in my room, it blows right down on me, and I'm fucking boiling, and I just need to turn on the air conditioning really quick. All right, there we go. So yeah, I don't know why I wanted to make that note. I just feel a lot of people have forgotten. So there could have been something really interesting where you have the symbiote who feels neglected. It's like, I just wanted to love you, Peter. Like, why don't you want me? And then he attaches to MJ, and everything gets heightened. There might be some cool things there, but overall, I'm really glad we went with the more humanizing angle for MJ. Again, especially because with Marvel, as Andrew and I have discussed a lot over on Foil Variant, the thing with Marvel is like, Marvel heroes are men trying to be gods. The DC heroes are like gods trying to be men. And so having, the Marvel, a Marvel story where somebody ends like broken or like has real actual emotional trauma over something, I think that really shows the drama of a Marvel world more than it would in like a DC setting. Oh, that's awesome. Timon says, I'll bring you a copy of O Doutrinador, The Awakener, for you and Wolf. Will be in Portuguese, but you can see the pretty pictures. Hey, I can sometimes read like 2 words of Portuguese because they slightly overlap with like Mexican Spanish. So we've got a little bit there, but no, that would be so, I love like foreign comic books, whether they be from Portugal, from France, from England. I wish more of those books and stuff got like nice releases, because unfortunately a lot of them sort of like, they get like regular trade paperbacks and then they sort of like fade away. And it's like, no, I need nice editions of this so I can show them off and actually read them. But yeah, no, I would be honored. I would be super stoked. That would be really cool. Yeah, well, here's the thing, Zero. Remember, and this is just me being an asshole. Like, I'm just being pedantic here. Actually, but Venom is, the symbiote's name is not Venom. Venom is the entity when it's combined with Eddie, right? Like, that is their identity. Again, I'm just being completely, like, pedantic. That is true, but no, I'm not going to be the one, as hardcore of a Spider fan and, like, what do you want to call it? Like, a continuity dork, I guess. Like, I'm not going to be the one to ding you on any of that stuff. But yeah, no, that's exactly it. I really like the interpretation or the initial depiction of the symbiote as sort of how we saw it in the Venom War crossover. If anybody watched Foil Variant over these past few months when it was airing and Andrew and I were breaking it all down, oh my gosh, I totally blanked on what I was trying to say. Oh yeah, Andrew and I were really big fans of the way they were sort of depicting the symbiote as like, almost like a sad dog. Like a dog who wants to go back to its old master, but maybe the master was like, I can't take you with... It's like that. And I really like the interpretation of the symbiote like that, rather than just evil space goo, which is what a lot of people, go for, because it puts this level of complexity to to both the symbiote and Peter that you wouldn't really normally expect from some sort of like comic book media, especially modern comic book media, where Peter might have not been in the right to immediately dissociate from the symbiote and get him off of him. But it was also a reasonable reaction to the symbiote taking over his body. Even though the symbiote was trying to just be like, oh, my host plays hero. I'm going to, when he sleeps, I'll still help him out and we'll go be hero. Again, the symbiote was essentially a kid putting on his dad's shoes and really wanting to help, but just doing it in the most raw, like the most inconvenient, unhelpful ways, but sort of without knowing what it did wrong. And then Peter flips out, and then you have the symbiote sort of like, what, a kick dog, like, what do I do? He doesn't love me. And then there's just a sad person down, and he's like, I will attach to you because there's something there. I really like all of that. And again, when you just MCUify it kind of and turn it into angry space goo, it's not as fun. It's genuinely not as fun. Let's see. Yeah, Timon says, some saint stories are really interesting. I'm not Catholic either, and I like them. Yeah, I mean, I am a big fan of all mythologies, and I don't mean that, to my Christians and my Catholics or whatever. Like, I'm not saying, like, oh, you're just I'm not doing that Reddit atheist thing, but that is the technical, actual word to describe all of these stories and foundational myth, right? So... I love mythology. I love all the stories. I love all of the crazy sort of like seeing old creativity is so fascinating to me as an artist, right? Because you see how human we've always been, how universal a lot of our experiences are. Like I look at one of my favorite examples is Journey to the West, where I look at Sun Wukong, and he is basically written like a 10-year-old on a playground going, "Nuh-uh, I win now. No, you can't hit me because I had magic invisible shield." And then his friend's like, "Oh no, well I had the red sword of break everything." And the kid goes, "Oh well, I actually am revealed to be the descendant of Zeus and Jesus," or something like that, right? Like that is literally what Sun Wukong is, and it's so funny seeing a sort of more innocent time where people just riffed like that anyway. I love that all. So yeah, the Saints are super interesting. I'm sure you may have at least, Timon, and maybe Zero, because you guys are both in, Latin American countries, and Josh maybe. Yo, Josh, I'll get to everything you're saying soon. I'm just sort of running through everything. But I love seeing, when I go to the Philippines, I love seeing the, like, bones, like the interred bones of Saints and stuff. It's just fascinating. I'm just like, wow, that's cool. Yeah, it sucks for nerdigans being in California mostly because everything is just so expensive right now. Like, I know a lot of people love to, shit on California for a lot of its, admittedly messed up policies, a lot of its bad leadership and all that stuff. But I love California. I think it is like a jewel in the crown of the United States, and I love it there. I want it to get better, obviously, but I'm not one of those people who's like, abandon it, throw it all out. Again, we talked about this last week, but like too many people, especially like the people, no other way around it, like MAGA, right? Like we've gotten into this era of like vindictiveness over everything. So now everybody just wants to go, oh, if this will make the other person I don't like upset, I want to do it. I really don't care about anything else except making the other person like upset. And I'm just like, it's not a healthy way to go through life in general. And again, we're not a political show. I don't want to get into politics, but it's like, that's not really going to help the division problem right now in our country. Yep, exactly, volume dealers. Shill. I have so many Disney contracts coming in. You guys don't even see it right now. I'm collecting my pay directly from Bob Iger himself. What's going on, buddy? That's what's happening because JDA was the one who said it. The most trusted name in news, right? Let's see. Shinkai says, Yandere, MJ, Venom taking control of Peter's friends would be pretty creepy. I think that, you know what? That's actually probably a better angle than I was thinking of with the Mary Jane thing, right? Because if you had the sort of insecure child symbiote, or I don't want to say insecure child because that makes it sound like it's really on him, but the sort of, hurt child start latching on to all of his friends to constantly like, do you love me again? Like, do you want me again? And he's like, I don't know how to get away from you. Yeah, that's a lot of like, that could be creepy. That could be, I really like that. Did you ever, I don't know if anybody here saw the movie Smile. It's not particularly good, but it's sort of, there are a lot of moments where like, the victim of what's going to happen in Smile is like, don't, like, oh my gosh, like you got to help me, blah, 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 blah. And then out of nowhere, they like snap and they're completely possessed. And that's when they like start smiling and killing themselves, right? So imagine sort of that, but instead of that, like, I'm going to end myself, don't you love me, Peter? Don't you love me? What's that movie with Kathy Bates? Misery. Imagine Misery with a symbiote. I actually kind of like that. Would be the Nigel Thornberry smashing meme with Venom. Pardon me. Woo. What is up? Josh says DKC returns from 2011, now in HD, only for $60 with broken multiplayer because fuck you. Yeah, that's sort of what I was getting at. I don't know if you were here at the beginning of when I was talking about Donkey Kong Country, Josh, but I know they started making games again in the Wii era, but then they started like rehashing and re-releasing and packaging them and bundling them. So I have no idea where they all are. But yeah, I've not heard a lot of good things about the subsequent releases, especially like, the weird added on multiplayer. But Josh is right. Like, that's what Nintendo does. Nintendo literally has fuck you clout. They don't have to do anything and they will still succeed, right? What's the statistic? It's like if they stopped producing anything right now, Nintendo in its current state, paying everybody and whatnot, could last for another like it's something ridiculous. It's like 20 years, 100, I don't know, but it's a long time because they're Nintendo, right? Like you know that they make the most quality stuff and they might stumble, but when they stumble, you kind of just got to let them. There's no real market pressure to push back on them. I really don't know. Yes, absolutely a continuity dark. Dante, what is going on, amigo? Good evening to you, my good sir. Let's see. Dante says, the farthest west I've been is St. Louis, but I can smell California from Chicago. That place reeks of desperation, ignorance, and broken dreams. See, I don't even agree with that. I genuinely, I know a lot of people might be joking in the chat. Like, I know Timon and Dante and stuff, but like, this is something I've been talking about a lot this week with like my friends and stuff, like in like IRL offline. But it's like, we got to remember to, and that's part of, again, the philosophy of this show is like, remember, outrage sells on the internet, and people are going to always want to highlight the worst things. The worst people are going to get the most attention, whether it's from people dunking on them or other jackasses supporting them. So when you see all the crazy stuff about California, yeah, the prices do suck right now. Our leadership, the state's leadership is not fantastic. But there's, to say, oh, they're desperate, they're all awful, it's a stupid state, doesn't help anybody. It's also like not true. And I'm just, I'm not against it. I get why it's all funny to make those jokes, but I personally am just at this point in my life where I'm like, I'm done with sort of callous joking about stuff like that, because a lot of times it's not joking. It's like, yeah, we really want to exterminate all the people in California, right? Like, again, there's just this, ever since Trump got reelected, I'm sorry, but the MAGA base has just seen it as a way to just be cruel. Everything that happens now, whether it's good or bad, you just see the zealots of Trump supporters going, no, you deserve that. Fuck you, I don't care. Oh, and you know what their defense is? Their defense is always, well, what about when Biden did it? And it's like, they try to flip it on me because, for example, I'm just going to rant really quick here. Eric Adams is the mayor of New York right now, and he was busted in a giant corruption scandal where he was taking bribes from the foreign government of Turkey. And through sucking up to the Trump administration, he now is getting that entire case just absolutely dropped. No investigation, no charges, even though they had him dead to rights. And that to me is like, dude, I don't care who you are. That is a clear violation of the law. You are basically just bubbling up your own swamp. That's bullshit. And if I try to criticize it, or like when I see people push back against it, all the MAGA cultists go, oh, but it was like, I didn't hear you complaining when Biden did, pardoned his family, or when Biden, shut down the Hunter Biden laptop story. So if they can do it, we can. And I'm like, you're talking to the wrong person, because that was also bad. Just because somebody else gets away with something doesn't mean you should go, what about me? We should be trying to improve ourselves. The reality of life is that, guess what, guys? Sometimes things are going to be unfair. Sometimes things are going to suck. Sometimes people are going to fall through the cracks or take advantage, whatever. You can't go through life looking at it as a personal attack on yourself. That's just not going to be good for your own mental health. But B, it's like, you're going to come off as insane to everybody and just like detached from reality. I don't know. You guys know this because I've been talking about it the last few weeks. It just sucks right now. I'm just like so disheartened by the way we're all treating each other, and I hate it. So let's move on to a new topic. Let's see. Shinkai says, Venom taking control of Peter's friends could also be similar to when in Bleach, Tsukishima affects Ichigo's friends. Yeah, like I said, there's a lot you could do there, especially if you play up that sort of horror angle of it all where, I'm hanging out with Harry, yada, yada, and maybe Harry has a symbiote, but he doesn't know it, and then all of a sudden it takes him over, right? Let's see. Reeve says, I'm hyped for the Switch 2. It's Mario's 40th anniversary, so anything can happen. I'm kind of indifferent to the Switch 2, not in a bad way. It's sort of like, yeah, we have a Switch 2 coming, and everything we know about it is like, yeah, that's what we were gonna get. So it's sort of like I kind of already figured this is what we were gonna getting, so I'm not necessarily surprised. But I'm always excited for a new generation, a new bit of hardware for developers to play on. I'm always particularly excited when it comes to Nintendo like hardware, because that is sort of a sign that Nintendo will at least try to pump out or start working on big level titles, right? We all know this. A Nintendo console launches, in the beginning, we're getting a lot of the bigger first-party games, your Wind Wakers, your Smashes, your Splatoons, your Zelda Twilight Princesses. Then as we go on, obviously, development attentions change, and we start getting like lower titles, a lot more remasters, a lot less like big marquee releases. And then a new console comes out, and because they were putting all their efforts into that, boom, everything drops. So my main thing, I guess, with the Switch 2 is I hope that this is the era where we finally get another Star Fox like 64 style game, because the man has been gone too long. Let's see. Yeah, right. No, again, Dante, I wasn't specifically like calling out you or Timon. Like, I know you two were joking. That was just sort of like, I admit, that was me going like, this is something that's sticking in my own craw. I'm going to go on a side tangent about it. Yeah, but that's the exact same thing, right? It's like, how childish. They did that. Okay, was it good when they did that? No. Well, then why is it good now? Like, one of the things that always pissed me off was when a couple months back during, I don't remember what it was, some like campaign rally before the election happened. And, it was like a Republican GOP thing, and they're all like, they're all what was the setup? It's like somebody's giving like a speech, and they say something about like, yeah, we don't even like who's the George Soros of the right? We don't have one. But Elon's there, and he like jumps up and he starts raising and flapping his hand, and everybody goes like, yeah, Elon. And it's like, but I thought, a super rich billionaire having all of the influence on our politics was a bad thing. Oh, it's really just that you don't care about actually improving anything or getting us to a better spot as a society. You just want to be the one with your fingers on the button. I mean, again, all the gloves are off nowadays because I really don't give a fuck about them. But that's exactly like what we see out of Fandom Pulse, right? Like, just absolute childishness, absolute, like, they did that to me, I'm going to do it to them. And no sense of, like, can we give people credit for when they are doing better things? It's always, this is bad, and it has to be bad, and I have to take it out on the other person. Let's see. Punk says, what comics did you get this week, Spencer? That's a good question, because I know we didn't have our foil variant this week. Again, we're in this sort of like weird rut where we don't have a lot coming out, and every week, so like these last 3 or 4 weeks, every week has seemed very, 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 very light. Like, for example, this week, really all I had was Absolute Venom, Eddie Brock, the new Carnage series, the second issue of Magic, and then like Psylocke, X-Men, right? Oh, and Absolute Batman. Got a couple more issues in the for my Pakistani friend, but those are the main ones I read. Nothing really to there is some stuff from this week to talk about, specifically in X-Men and Carnage, but I know that as soon as Andrew eventually reads that, he's going to want to talk about that, so we'll probably save that for foil variant. I guess if we wanted to talk comic books, we could probably talk about One World Under Doom, and maybe we'll get into that in a second. We're almost down to the we're almost caught up in chat, so we'll catch up with chat, and then we'll see where we jump from there. Whether it is to comics, maybe I'll take a look at maybe what Sakura Mita shared. Again, Sakura, it's really hard for me to sit here and like review an entire post. Otherwise, I'm gonna be like, and that's just like not good live show stuff. So I see your post, and maybe I will get a chance to see what's going on over here and pick it up. But yeah, we'll see. Again, flow of the show, buddy. Oh, dude. Yeah, Dante says, I'm in Chicago, kind of silly to earnestly mock anywhere else. We're fooked. again, that's how I know like you weren't being serious because you and I have talked about that all the time. Yeah, Chicago is boned too. All of these like, and it sucks because like I love a lot of these places. Like Chicago's a great city if it wasn't fucked by our leadership. San Francisco, honestly, a genuinely beautiful place with a lot of history, especially if you're an artist. Not a great place. Like I do not want to go there at all anymore. Like it is just not a great place to go. Um, so no, it's just it's really bad all over the place, and I don't see how we're like it really makes me just despondent because I don't know how we advance as a nation if we just devolve to I'm gonna do this because I know it's gonna piss you off, right? Like it's just it makes me. It's why I run this show. It's why I try to disconnect from the internet on the weekends because this shit is just so annoying. If you are more mature than 12 years old, all of this stuff is annoying. uh, Josh says, hopefully you don't make more slop like Super Mario Bordersea. Uh, I would let them. So here's the problem. I know like Odyssey itself was kind of a meh experience, but it's got so much solid foundation. Like it plays really well. It feels good to play. It looks great. The songs are good. It's just like the levels are weird and what it asks you to do. It's just yeah, a mediocre experience. So I'd be up for an Odyssey too, as long as they improved on it. Because to me, I love the 3D Mario. Like Mario should always be in 3D from here on out. He shouldn't be in any like 2.5D or any like or even like in New Super Mario Brothers. I know those games are great, but to me, I'm like that's cool. Can we get like the 3D we're running around Mario now? Because I know that is your flagship Nintendo. Let's go. Yeah, Andrew says, man, calling Super Mario Odyssey slop is a hell of a take. So I can actually explain this take because it is a take that Josh and I both share, which is that the game is, again, it's good, it's solid. The problem is it's sort of set up in a way where it's meant only exclusively for like brand new like Mario players, right? Like those are the ones who are going to get the most out of it. Where you know the way the levels are laid out, the flow it asks you to do is sort of confusing and back and forth, and then you get to like the last few planets, and the last few planets are almost like tutorials, which is super weird considering you're already so far into the game. So again, it's not constructed poorly, it's just sort of executed a little awkwardly, which is why I would be so up for an Odyssey 2 because Cappy is great. The challenges at the very least are those were pretty solid, at least for me to like try to accomplish. The ones where you got to like throw Cappy out and keep bouncing and yada yada yada. That was cool. Yeah, see that's kind of where I'm at, which is get random moons and move on to the next uninspired level. And it's like that's why I say it's mainly for newer fans. Like that's who's going to get the most out of it. Not to say older or not older, but like veteran fans, because that could be even like a 10-year-old who's been playing it for like 5 years. But even veteran fans wouldn't get as much out of it as much as somebody who's like, I'm 10 years old or I'm 6 years old and this is my first 3D big Mario game, right? So yeah, like Reeve here, I love Odyssey personally, but it's not my favorite. That goes to the Galaxy games. And I would, if we're talking like 3D Mario games, I still give it to 64. That to me is just absolute Kino, no matter which version it is, whether it's the DS or the original 64 one. But I love Galaxy. Like Galaxy is so good. Still pissed off they didn't put Galaxy 2 in that Switch Mario 3D collection, and they never released another one, so it's like, what are you holding out on me for? Josh would talk shit on Super Mario Wonder if he had the chance. I would probably talk shit on Super Mario Wonder if I had the chance. And look at that, Josh absolutely loves Mario Wonder, right? I like Mario games. He's just, to me, Mario is, I don't, like, how do I put this? It's so hard for me to look at like Mario as like a franchise sort of concept, because to me, when I engage with like a Mario game, I'm not necessarily going in, and again, this is just me. I'm not saying this is how everybody should be. When I go into a Mario game, I'm sort of like, I really, really don't connect too much with like the characters. Like they're neat, but their designs are fine. They don't really, you know, have big personalities in like you would get in like a voiced game with like a big long story or whatever. I've always seen Mario games as like you're going to play a Mario game because that is video game distilled. It is the mechanics that make like when you think of video game, you think of the interactivity, and that's what Nintendo nails to a T with its timings, with its game feel, all that stuff. To me, Mario was just sort of like, well, we can't have a white pixel and make that it. Like, what do we do? Throw some, you know, very generic stuff on it. Again, I know I'm sort of, you know, writing it off. I know how great Mario is. I like Mario and all of his cast. Daisy is my waifu supreme, but that's still just how I feel. I'm like, you are just more of a vehicle for gameplay, which is good. I think too many games nowadays have forgotten what it means to do video games. Andrew says, I'm more of a Super Mario 3D World fan personally, but y'all might genuinely be the first people I've ever heard say that. And I was running GameStops when that game came out. And maybe that is the an element of, you know, we are a little, you know, more years out, so a little bit of that hype has dissipated around it. And, you know, at least on my end, I'm not going to speak for Josh, but like I know for me, I'm coming at it in this, like, what are you doing to sort of, you know, give us something new, a new experience? And again, like I was saying, the mechanics and the graphics, all that stuff was great, but then you get to the actual game and it just sort of gets lackluster and you don't feel the same sort of like sense of awe and wonder and like true challenge that you might have in Super Mario Galaxy when you go onto a brand new planet or even like a tiny moon. Hey, Punk, adios. Yeah, I figured you and Corey will probably be out of here way earlier than normal since we started an hour later. But thanks for hanging out with us, Punk. Always a pleasure. I'm sure I'll talk to you over the weekend. Go have some fun. Go relax. All that fun stuff. So, Shinkai says, for me, I like seeing people play different Mario Maker levels. Some are pretty fun. Whole vibe is relaxing for me. How others feel about ASMR, I feel about Mario Maker 2 plays. Mario Maker is cool. I actually agree with you there. I don't watch them probably as much as you do. Like, at least from the way you're framing it here, it makes it seem like that's a regular thing you're always checking out, and that unfortunately isn't for me. But yeah, I've seen a lot of the Mario Maker videos were all really impressive. Oh, great, camera decides it wants to do its stupid, like, come out of focus thing. Let's see, can I fix it? Where is my terry cloth man? Oh well, it'll come back eventually. We all know how that goes. Let me just put the cover back on. Alrighty then. Yeah. Let's see. Yeah, some of those Super Mario Maker level designers are just plain evil. 100%. Normally I wouldn't comment. I just want to give this sort of like asterisk here because it also is something to talk about. But Josh recommended in the chat that Andrew watch the video essay on Super Mario Galaxy or Odyssey done by Joseph Anderson. He's a YouTuber. He does all these like very hour-long deep dives into like video games and stuff. And while I am normally and so Andrew went, you know what? I don't really care about YouTubers' opinions. And while normally I am exactly 100% right there with it, you know, I don't care what random, you upload videos every day about drama and you want to talk about a game. All right, I don't care about that. In this instance, I would actually suggest like go, even if you don't care about this debate and you're not even looking for your mind to be changed, I would recommend watching Joseph Anderson's stuff because he's not sitting there going, here's my opinion. I think it's all like whatever, right? He actually goes, let's break down what I'm talking about. Here's how the things are like he goes into the game design. He talks about how things are supposed to flow. He goes back and he looks at design documents and old games. So it is, in this case, it is less like a video essay and more almost like a video documentary, I would almost say. I recommend all of his stuff because he gives lots of good insights and he talks about things on like the game level. And again, guys, always be learning. Even if it's somebody you disagree with, always check things out. You might learn a new turn of phrase. You might learn a different perspective. All that fun stuff. But again, if it's not up your alley, don't do it. I just personally like him a lot because he's so, again, we got to talk about like what games are, not just how they play into our stupid culture war. And that's actually what he does. And he doesn't even attack it from like a culture war angle. It is truly, purely, this doesn't work. Like, I don't like this because it doesn't mechanically work. But yes, let's see. Looks like we, oh yeah, I wanted to point this out. Dante said, I'm finally reading James Tinian's run on Detective Comics Rebirth. I collected the first 2 arcs and let the issues collect dust for a couple of years. Hey, I know I've got a couple series like that where I have all the issues and they just have sort of sat there still. As for Tinian's run, like overall, probably, I mean, I think Andrew would agree with me, and I sort of bring him up because he's the other comic dork around here. But that was probably the last genuinely fully solid run of Batman. It's not like all great, but I liked it a lot. Yeah, he then just kind of gets. I feel like a lot of Tinian's plans near the end get screwed by the fact that like Tom King was coming next, and Tom King is just the worst writer and turned everything into fanfic. So I forget. Andrew is I always forget who it was, but Mr. Bloom, is that Tinian or is that Snyder? I never ever remember, but I always point to Mr. Bloom in whomever's run that was as sort of the moment where they kind of I wouldn't say like lost the plot fully, but whether it was Snyder or Tinian's run, when that author came to introducing Mr. Bloom, that at that point it was sort of like the writing is still quality, but the story, now we're sort of like losing the plot. Like Mr. Bloom was like, I like him as a villain concept. It was just like very poorly executed. Let's see. Yeah, I only made commentary because given all my years discussing the game with players, I'd never heard that. Yeah, it's just, I know a lot of people love the game, but no game is perfect. Everything has got it. Yes, okay, yeah. That's I thought it was Scott Snyder because I can see like the Capullo art, but I always confuse like whose run that was. But yeah, like in Snyder's run, I know that that's not Tinian, so it's sort of like unrelated. But just to close out that thought, when Mr. Bloom pops up in Snyder's run, that's when it's like, okay, cool idea, isn't really working here in Batman. What are we doing? And it sort of just like fizzles out. Again, like the page-to-page writing is still really good. It's just like this story is sort of... let's see. Yeah, Reeve also asks, speaking of which, when are you getting back to Xenoblade? JK. Hey, no JK. It is a valid question. I'm still in the process of revamping the layout, trying to fix my work, sleep schedule, all that fun stuff. Hopefully it'll be done soon. I want to be able to give like a concrete answer. I keep getting like this close to saying like, oh, screw it, I'm not going to like put the finishing touches on, I'm just going to roll it out. But I want to do right by you guys and make it a fun, cool looking place for us all to hang out. Yep. Andrew says, Scott Snyder is a hot or cold writer. Sometimes he'll crush it and other times he's all over the place. Yeah, and like, it's such a bummer because I feel, but you need to give him a limiter, right? Like, you can't say, oh, you're going to have the ongoing for the foreseeable future. You need to be like, you're getting 30 issues of Batman. Because then then Snyder can be like, okay, let me introduce my ideas and then actually, like, resolve them and bring them into an arc instead of just throwing them out there and continuing to try and build and one-up myself as we go on and on and on and on and on and on and on. Let's see. And then, yeah, Timon says, yeah, the Switch 2 is coming and my life will stay the same. My life will stay the same. It'll be the exact same thing. It's just going to be like, now instead of hoping that I get, the Star Fox for Switch, it's going to be for Switch 2. Which, like, side note, maybe we talked about this, but when everybody was like, when the Switch 2 was, like, revealed or confirmed, and then everybody was like, oh, this is so disappointing. How, like, they didn't do anything. They didn't improve on it. I'm like, what more did you want? Did you really think we were going to get some giant technological advance with the Switch 2? Did you think you were going to get genuinely perfect VR? No, like we're so far away from that. What was your expectation? I'm sure all of us here, we were like, yeah, we'll probably get better graphics processor, a better chipset, a better motherboards, general little boost there, and then probably better Joy-Cons and all that sort of fun stuff. So like I never understand the people who are going, this was so disappointing. I'm like, what did you expect? Not even like what did you want? Like what did you expect from this? How about no screen? Well then, how am I gonna play? What am I gonna do with it, Timon? Am I just gonna imagine it in my mind? That feels like something I would do if I was like a babysitter and there was like a 2-year-old. He's like, I want to play video games. Like, okay, yeah, here. Like there you go for it. And then he just thinks he's playing things. Oh yeah, duh. On the TV, I get that, but I also think it would be a massive miss. Yes, yeah, it could have gone no handheld. I think that would have been a massive misstep for Nintendo because right now they're the only real portable console. Yeah, you have Steam Decks, but those are admittedly really expensive, and people who have them very rarely want to actually use them out in public. I've seen it a few times, but it's way more common for people to be using that in their home and stuff. But with Switches, I see grown women, grown men, kids, adolescents, all that fun stuff. Like they're always playing it out in public, like at the airports especially. Like that's where I always see them. So I don't personally care about the handheld stuff, but I understand why it's such a good advantage. And I like even if I hated the handheld, like if I truly said I hate handheld, I couldn't argue with it's a good business move. And sometimes you got to make a good business move, right? And especially, and here's why I think you got to keep it handheld, or another reason at least, is if you guys remember, one of the things with the Wii U, like that gimmick was, if somebody wants to watch the TV, you can just take your pad and play the game on the pad. That didn't ever really truly work out. It was always sort of janky or sort of not the full experience. But that was sort of a big point. I remember talking to so many parents back in my day that were like, yeah, we're getting, like, that's what we want it for, because then we can watch TV and the kids can play. Now that the Switch gives that to them, you don't want to take that away. You don't want parents to go back to like, oh, we have to battle with our kids for the console, for like the TV, right? So just in the sense of business, I think you got to stay handheld. Oh, check that out. Reef says, I mostly play on handheld since I don't have many opportunities to play on a TV. And there you go, too. That's also, like, a good point. If you get a Switch, that's, like, it's an all-in-one thing, right? I get my Switch, I can take it out of the box, slap my card in, let's play. But if I got an Xbox, I got to buy a TV. I got to buy a couch. I got to buy friends. I got to buy food to feed those friends. I'm going broke over here. No, I'm kidding. But no, that's actually, yeah, I didn't even consider that. So you also get the all-in-one package, which is probably way great for parents, right? Like, oh yeah, we don't have to buy them all that extra stuff, blah, blah, blah. I stuttered there because Timon says make 2 versions, and I actually think that might actually not be a bad idea. Maybe you make like the non-handheld one a couple $100 cheaper, right? Maybe like the handheld one is $300 and the stationary, just hook it up to your TV one is like $150. I could see that. That's actually not a bad idea. I do like that because yeah, I'm always for give more options, give more choice instead of taking things away and restricting it. Yeah, exactly. Removing the hybrid feature would be peak retarded anti-business to their market, and it would just nearly double their hardware development costs when manufacturers already lose money on hardware in their first 2 years. Nah. Yeah, and it's just, there is no other thing that fills that niche. You have the Steam Deck, which is way more of an enthusiast sort of thing, right? Like, we'd all get a Steam Deck, but Billy Jacobs or whatever from down the street at the elementary school, he's not going to be getting a Steam Deck, and if he does, he's not going to know what to do with it, and he's going to hate it. So, and then we have mobile phones, but that is not as much as the, oops, sorry about that, didn't mean to hit that microphone, as much as the statisticians want to, convince us that that stuff is, that mobile games are so exactly the same as like real gaming. It's not. And I say that as somebody who, pardon me, still plays mobile games, right? Like some solid mobile games, Balatro. Maybe that's different because Balatro is just literal crack, and I need somebody to take that game away from me. Like genuinely, I'm so afraid of what it does to me because I can lose hours to it. Like I'll be like refreshing the Bounding website, and it might be like taking a second because we have so many things like going on. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to play like a round or two, like a hand or two of Balatro, and then I'll look and we'll be able to go. And then I've played like 3 actual like runs, and I'm like, oh my god, like I need to get back I need to get back to work. Yeah, if a Switch didn't switch between handheld and stationary, then would it still be a Switch, not being able to switch? That's a really good point too. Maybe they'd have to come up with like some different gimmick for it, or something to have that like, what do you want to call it? Like that continuity, right? The Switch stationary, I have no idea. I'm gonna leave that to the marketing gurus, but that's a good point. I didn't think about that. Like, would it even really truly be a Switch at this point if that's what we did? And I don't know. And then yeah, and that's exactly what I'm saying, Timon. If you made 2 different versions, you have the exact same hardware, everything. I think you would have to change how it looks. I don't think you can sell somebody a Switch unit that doesn't have a screen and say, oh, this is just a big controller. Like, if you're going to be doing a console version of the Switch that doesn't have any of that, you have to do stationary box with controller. And like, I just kind of like leaning into what Andrew was saying, it doesn't really make any sense. Like, you could do it and maybe like retail it for lower, but when you can just have the Switch and leave it in the dock and then use like a normal controller to play on it, it's going to be like, they're not going to make another unit. A plastic box doesn't cost that much, but you have to think about production at scale. You need to think about how, putting in orders for the new thing. You need to think about designing it. You need to think about all the approvals for it. Like, it's way too much. When you already have the option to be like, just leave it in the dock and use a controller, I think we just lean that way, because otherwise you're just making a lot of money you're spending a lot of dev money for nothing, which is unfortunate, right? Yeah, exactly. You have to have 2 different molds, different heats. Like, it's just way more development. It's not as easy as just saying like, don't do a screen, because then if you just don't do a screen, that's still a lot of development. It's just easier for us to go leave it. Like, I don't really use mine mobile, right? Like, I just leave it in the dock, and whenever I want to play, I just have a screen. That's me. That's my choice as an adult. I don't specifically need another box for that. I think if they had planned it from the very beginning, there might have been an argument for it. But I think if you just go, why don't you make a new one right now out of nowhere? No company in the world is ever going to do that. All right, let's see. What have we got? We have, so, yeah, Sakura Amita, this is what, let's go over to the, our other layout. We'll look at this real quick. Unfortunately, Sakura Amita, I don't think there's really a lot to talk about here, because let's go over to our web talk. So what Sakura shared is, I guess there's a lot of updates coming to this Power Rangers Legacy War game. I don't know anything about it. I don't play it. I genuinely didn't even know it existed until like right now. So I unfortunately can't give any opinions on like, is this a good pick? Is that a better pick? You probably have the best opinion, and I know you shared a long list in the Discord of like, here's all these different characters that I think we should pick instead. I'll have to take your word for it. I genuinely have no idea what any of this game is. The only Power Rangers game I really care about, still care about, maybe they never officially canceled it, but Power Rangers Battle for the Grid. I want that one. There is that game. There is a new game coming out. I know Sakura, we talked about it in the Discord like a little bit ago, but there is this really cool game coming out. Can I find it? Yeah, where let's check this out. It's like Battle for the Grid, but it's like indie, and everything is sort of it's themed after like actual toys. I'm gonna go back to the like opening of it so you can see what I mean. But yeah, knockoff Battle for Imagination. See, it's basically like a fighting game where all your toys are actually fighting. So you have your legendary mythical guardians and stuff like that. So that, like, the concept is great, and then the presentation of it right here, where all of them look like toys, this, like, I'm really excited for it. I will admit here, as we're all probably seeing, obviously this is really early footage. It's nowhere near like release yet. It looks a little slow, and I do get a lot of sort of flashbacks to Battle for the Grid and how like that gameplay was tight, but it was so slow and sludgy that it sort of killed the experience. And I know, guys, some of you out there are going, oh, well, Mav, you're just you play Marvel vs. Capcom, you play Dragon Ball FighterZ, you like those psychopathic, like, super anime splashy things are running 900 miles an hour. And that's true, but I can also, I also like other games. I like Soul Calibur, I like Mortal Kombat 9. I can admit, what, just like on a base level, like, what is game, like, the game just doesn't feel good in its contact yet. I think you need some improvements, but I'm really excited for this. At the very least, like, this is a game I can tell that is made by somebody who actually liked the stuff growing up, actually knows what, a Street Shark is or what a Power Ranger is. Like, do you guys see that right there? This little, whatchamacallit, this taunt or wind post she does right here, where her chest goes in and her head comes up. That is in the style of the like a set of Power Rangers toys they did in the 90s, and I've talked about it before because I had them all, where you push down on like their belt buckle and their head would, like, they had the human head, and then you push down on their belt buckle and their chest opens up and their heads flip up, and in their helmets, like, flip up, and it's like, whoa, they transformed. And so I'm like, that is dedication. You actually know what you're talking about. Let's see. Shinkai says, looking like toys kind of seems like Smash Bros. The original started out. That, I did get that vibe a lot from the presentation and the setup. Unfortunately, yeah, as we can see, it's more of a 2D fighter than like a party platform fighter. But I definitely had that exact same vibe right here, Shinkai. Like, are we going to be seeing the Master Hand? Is he going to be coming in? He's going 1, 2, 3. So I really want to see how this plays out. Obviously, if we kind of like look at this teaser opening right here, we can see we're going to get like a He-Man analog, a Mazinger analog, a Orko analog, apparently, like over there in the top corner. Maybe some Among Us crossover, guys, considering there's a bunch of engineers right there on the second shelf. But yeah, I'm really excited for this one. I know Shinkai, or not Shinkai, but Sakura is also excited for it because he's the one who shared it with me. So thank goodness that Sakura did share it with me, because otherwise I wouldn't have seen this. And I'm very excited for this game. But yeah, I really wish I could give more input on Legacy Wars. I truly do, Sakura. It's just, when it comes, like, we talk about this a lot, and maybe even if we don't talk about it all the time, you guys can kind of glean this. But, like, and like, for example, Andrew and I, we have to miss foil variants some weeks, or sometimes, his Saturday stream is late, or Good Mav Ugly is late, and that's just because we're sadly so damn busy all the time right now. Again, over on Bounding, we're in a big, we have a lot of things we're rolling out right now that we're working on that I have to give a lot of my attention to. I have to still write, still do all of that stuff. So back to what Reef said, I don't even really have time to play like real video games. I can't get into like a mobile game, and especially because, and I know if Volume Dealer is still here, he knows exactly what I'm talking about, because I always talk to him about this. Like, there is always, like, no matter how good these games are, and you know what? Lots of these mobile games are they're really, really good compared to what you would expect. Like, there's the Future Fight one that Volume Dealer plays. There's obviously Legacy Wars here that Sakura plays. I played that I showed you guys like a couple weeks ago, that South Park tower defense game where you played like cards down to summon the kids and they would do different things. Or there was like the DC RPG where you had like 3 characters in a row. they're all really pretty solid, and they can get really intricate with their strategies. And like, I admit, when I'm playing those games, I'm always like really addicted. I'm always like, how can I, maximize the damage? How can I get enough money to get this character? I love that sort of stuff. I love the strategizing. The problem is, we all these games always have a point where, sorry guys, there was something in my eye. All these games have a point where once you get, I want to say, let's say like 5/8 of the way through the game, or through the progression of the game, all of a sudden it becomes impossible for you to like level up or move forward without paying money. And it's at that point where I'm just like, I don't like spending money on mobile games and microtransactions in general. I've talked about that a lot here. So unless a game is, the only time I will really spend money on a game is if, whatchamacallit, what was I going to say? I will really only spend money on a game if it has a full version, right? Like, you can have the mobile one and it's like, oh, you can play with ads or whatever, or you can buy it for and unlock it for free, or unlock the full version rather. Always going to go for that one. I don't like microtransactioning. I think it's sort of, it just feels gross to me. It's one of those things where it's like, I shouldn't be having to hand you over money to play, to progress in your damn game. It just feels weird to me. So these games are always great, but once I hit that point, I just get like fed up and frustrated, and it bums me out. So I like in recent years, I really don't I don't play games on my phone, aside from Balatro now, but my phone is like, I got Discord on it, I've got Messenger, I've got all my social apps to talk to people, but games, if I want to play a game, I'm going to come home, I'm going to play some Marvel Rivals. Yeah, Sakura says, the fact that they picked Fern over my Tomboy Queen Vita, I did see, like, that's like the first one you listed, and that was the one that like I remembered from your list, and I was like, okay, even if I don't care about this game, we always need Tomboy Vita. Like, we need that supremacy. So I totally get it. I genuinely, I know you don't like the picks, but I will admit, I'm always a sucker for anything to do with the Power Rangers movie. So, like, seeing the Ninjetti version of him right here, I'm like, probably not, like, you had way better people to pick, but I'm not going to, like, I like it. I like the ninjas. Let's see. And then, yeah, Timon, in reference to the game we were talking about, this looks like Battle of the Copyright. Maybe, but I think this is fair use enough, parody enough that you're going to get away with it. Sorry, I'm just like, it's so cool. Like, I want to play that. Like, Raisinger. Even like, look at the backgrounds, guys, sort of to what Shinkai was saying about it being like Smash Brothers. They're playing in the backyard. Like, there's just like a bike behind them, the fence and all that fun stuff. So hopefully, and like, see, that is what reminds me of Battle for the Grid so much. Like, that is basically the Battle for the Grid Zord special. Yeah, Timon says, Toei might disagree. They might, and it would be interesting to see what, if that happens, how it plays out. Because I also know, and let's see, instead of trying to, keep this trailer going for like 4 years, let's just pause on Victory Pose. Yeah, she looks pretty cool. Yeah, so like, I've actually had this discussion a lot with Cider lately, because if you guys don't know, Cider, my man over at Bounding Into Comics, he is a big Sentai fan, a big Toku fan, and he's also, a writer on his own right, and he's currently working on a bunch of his own projects that involve Toku-related concepts, like a Sentai team, but not a Sentai team, just like a team of heroes. And on one end, I'm always like, it's really hard to, like, copyright and dissuade people from using, a base concept of like a transforming hero, especially because lots of other companies have done it since then. You've got, whether it is the adult oriented ones, the JAV ones from Giga, or it is the Chinese ones that are coming out from, I totally am blanking on their name. There are lots of like Sentai sort of things, but as Cider's been telling me, like, you have to be super careful, and like, I know that from Toei, so Toei is one of those ones where it's like, I genuinely don't know how their legal process plays, because for all intents and purposes, they should have no claim here. But we know them; they'll find it somehow. Yeah, let's see. With that all said, oh no, yeah, no, Japan doesn't have fair use. That's 100% true. And that's where it's like, are they? And that's where. So here's where my big like I don't know sort of pops up, Timon, is it's technically a parody of Power Rangers, not Sentai, which is owned fully by, well, not anymore. Hasbro now, right, Sakura? But like, that was Haim Saban and all that stuff. So is that technically its own IP? What are we, that is kind of the main spot where I'm really, really curious to see is like, if it comes down to a legal fight, would Toei, like would the courts, whether in Japan or America, would they say Power Rangers is a derivative thing that's related and thus like it is Sentai, or it's its own thing? And I think that's where we would get more of a read of like how this could play out for them. I think they're fine, but again, this is the 21st century. Anything could happen. Right, exactly, Sakura, right? If Hasbro manages to piss off Toei, they are done. Dude, they're already pretty much done. I don't know. Like legitimately, guys, I was telling this to a friend the other night. The only thing that's profitable right now for Hasbro is are the crossover sets of Magic the Gathering cards. And I don't mean the secret lair drops where you get the occasional, like, for example, our Stream Buddy tonight. Let me see. Let me just grab like a bigger image of the card itself. So as Zero points out, this Miku looks better than the one from last week. First of all, that was the greatest looking Miku of all time. In case you guys don't remember here, I'm just going to like remind you guys because it makes me laugh to this day, right? This was our Stream Buddy from last week. This was a new card that Wizards produced for their latest Hatsune Miku Magic set. It makes me laugh every time because it's like, this is what an 11-year-old who just discovered anime in 1998 would have drawn like an anime girl as, right? So yes, this week's Stream Buddy is far better, looks far better. Let me pull up the full everything. So yes, our Stream Buddy this week, kind of relevant to what we are also saying. This is so the art over here for our Stream Buddy is the art from this card, Miku Child of Song. So I'm not going to bore everybody with all of the Magic details in case you guys don't play Magic, but there is a format called Commander where you basically pick one leader card, and that is sort of what you build your deck around. And so not only did I pick Miku this week because I really, really just love the art in general, but so I have this leader, and I built a deck out of her very recently, and it was my first Magic deck that I sort of built on my own since I was like 9, playing like the alpha set or whatever it was back in the day. So, the main theme of the deck was I want Miku. That's about it. And I had no idea how it was going to go. And last weekend, I went to play with one of my really good friends, and he and his brother are like big Magic fanatics. Like his brother is 20 years older than us, but he plays like tournaments, like actual like big prize pool, like thousands of dollars, like travels across the country. If you go into his office, it looks like a game store with all the white boxes of cards lined up, except his are all perfectly organized. You know exactly where everything is. It's awesome. Like I get nerd boner from like standing in there. I'm like, that is what I want like my space to my workspace to look like. But so I brought this deck over last weekend. I was like, hey, I finally get to, deploy it. And not only did I destroy, like literally just had everybody, annoyed and just not being able to do anything. My buddy was like, that deck is legitimately scary. And so now Miku was chosen because I'm just basically taking a victory lap. I'm like, fuck yeah, that was my deck. You're not like, who else is going to use Miku? Me. That's right. And then I don't know if you guys saw this, and I'm just going to show this off because I like it and it's my show. But earlier this week, I posted a picture, and actually it was right during that game night. But yeah, I posted this picture early. Oh, wrong window. Wrong window. Yeah, I posted this tweet earlier this week, this picture, and yeah, this is like my Miku setup. I went really all out. So I've got like a Miku deck box. I've got a Miku sleeve set. You can't see it in this picture, but the sleeve on the back of Miku is actually a different Miku sleeve. So like I'm just all Miku'd out, and it's fun. So I love the card art just in general. It's one of the prettiest cards I've seen in a long time. So here she is. She's my Valentine. Get your own waifus. And hey, look, it's Timon. You're damn right. You're damn right. Weave it up. But back to what I was saying, like to make this, to link this to our conversations, as Sakura Mita points out, even Magic can't save them. Like Magic can't save the original Ultimate Universe. But that's the thing, right? Is that the, exactly, Shinkai, no Miku, no life. But actually, I'm gonna leave that up. Right now, Hasbro is in such a bad spot that they are only, like I said before, they're only profitable from the Universes Beyond crossover sets from Magic. And that's different from, so this is like this Miku set here and the like the Marvel set they did a little while back. Those are all part of something called Secret Lair, where it's really stupid, but they're all limited prints and it's like a gimmicky thing for collectors. So that's never really going to be the biggest moneymaker for them, but it is the Assassin's Creed, the Doctor Who, the Fallout, the Fallout, the Warhammer, and there's another one that they like did, Doctor Who, Warhammer, Fallout, Assassin's Creed. Oh, I feel like I'm forgetting somebody. Oh well, it'll come to us eventually. But like those crossover sets are the only thing that is profitable for them right now. They are currently being sued because they have, so for since the pandemic, every earnings call, they always tell their investors, like, we have a lot of, their investors always ask, we noticed that on your, financial sheets, you have a lot of inventory. What's up with that? And Hasbro always goes, oh, don't worry about that. Yes, that's a lot of inventory that looks like it's not being sold, but that's actually us like stocking up for this next quarter because all this stuff is going to move like gangbusters in this next quarter. And it never does. For the last like 5 years, every earnings like call has them going, oh, no, it's going to sell. It's going to sell. And it doesn't because it's really just stock that's not moving. So they're in like a really bad position. Obviously, we've talked about how they've sort of licensed out every element of the Power Rangers thing. Like they're not doing video games. All the toys are over to Playmates now, which is just, that sucks. I can't. Playmates is doing a adult collector's line of figures. I don't know, man. That sounds like something I would read in Mad Magazine. It's not a real thing. But yeah, it should be moving to Ollie's. Like moving it to Ollie's. I wish they would, because I would even if sell me booster packs for $1. I don't care what it is. I'll probably go and open it. You know what I mean? But yeah, like it's really bad. And if you go to any game store, you're probably going to find all of the like recent sets completely like in stock, unless it's brand new. So for example, there is a set that just came out. I think the pre-release event was like last weekend, and then today was the public, like it's out there for everybody, called Aether Drift. And when I went to the game store earlier, as I was telling you guys, to pick up an order of cards, and all of the Aether Drift stuff, had been picked clean through. There were, all the boosters, all the pre-release bundles, all the commanders, whatever. If I went over and I looked at like the Murders at Karlov set or the Bloomborough set, which are like two of the most recent ones, I could have bought all, like it was all in stock. People, like, it doesn't really move. To the point, guys, this was cool for me, but I also kind of recognized by what they put in the package that it wasn't great. This past, like, holiday season, Costco was actually stocking Magic, like, bundles where you could get, like, 2 commander packs and then 5 booster packs for, like, $30, which is an insane deal. But if you look at all the packs they had, it was, like, the Bloomborough stuff. It was, like, Ravinka, or, like, not even Ravinka, like, Modern Horizons 2, just, like, stuff I knew, like, oh, you guys are just trying to move inventory out of the warehouse. So I'm like, that bites. I still took advantage and bought a bunch of them because I'm not going to pass up on a deal, but I'm still just like, yeah, you guys maybe need to, I talk about this all the time. Wizards is the thing where, Eighth, for example, that set right now, Aether Drift came out. Cool. We're all strategizing around it. We're all looking at our cards. I give it to, like, in 2 weeks, they're going to go, guess what? Next set coming. And we're going to go throw all our cards up and go, all right, time to revamp all of our fucking strategies. So they keep doing that. And it's just like, can you breathe and, like, give us time to enjoy the cards you've released? I don't know, like, even One Piece has gotten to that point where we're getting, like, 7 sets, or, like, not 7, but, like, 5 sets a year. And I'm like, dude, chill. Like, we don't need that. We need to breathe. We need to be able to, like, play. I don't know. It's ridiculous. Andrew says, dude, there was a time when GameStop was extra retarded and would 95% mark down TCG stuff. And I would just grab so much Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh stuff. That's absolutely bonkers to me, right? Like, and I know that's true because, like, I can believe it. Again, that weird period of, like, the late 2010s to the early, like, 2020s, around when Andrew was working at GameStop's, like, there was this weird shift away, like, a temporary shift away from nerd stuff. I don't know. It was a very weird moment where, yeah, a lot of stuff was, you could get a lot of stuff cheap. Lots of figures, lots of cards. Obviously, we're long past that, but I know exactly what you're talking about, and I am so jealous that you were able to do that. Obviously there were those Magic bundles at Costco, but I also saw during a recent trip they're doing Lorcana bundles, which is like the Disney card game, and I didn't buy it because, like, I can't support any, like, I don't like Disney as a brand necessarily anymore. You know what I mean? Like, the magic is gone because I think, we're way older, but I also know too much about, like, their behind the scenes workings and the fact that, like, they don't really care about art anymore. It's all about profit. And so I saw the Lorcana bundle. It was like 2 decks, a bunch of booster packs, like a promo card for $20. And I was like, it calls to me because it's such a deal, but I can't care about Lorcana. I will start playing Lorcana when they do, like, a Kingdom Hearts set. Until then, not for me. It's just gonna sit there. I had a drink and now I don't know where I put it. Oh, there it is. Exactly, Andrew. MTG's insane set turnover rate was one of the big turnoffs to playing seriously for me. A serious and well-made deck should not have a shelf life of a month, sans meta-specific 1 or 2 ofs. Exactly, and that's exactly... We haven't hung out in like a week and a half, but this is a classic Spencer Andrew where I just said a bunch of bullshit and Andrew was able to summarize it in, like, the best way. Like, my points are always great, but the copy you're gonna want for the back of the book is whatever Andrew, like, translates it into. Yeah, I know you're here. Yeah, but that's what I'm saying, right? Like, if I'm building a deck, I should not have to throw everything out and go, I gotta revamp it in a month. Like, I should be able to realistically, a deck should be viable without any change for at least 1 more set, right? Your deck releases, like set 2 releases, you build your deck out of it. Set 3, if you didn't buy any cards, you should still be viable. If you get to, like, the next set 4, it'd be cool if it was viable, but I also understand in the realm of, like, game design, you probably at that point need to add a few cards or a few new mechanics that are playing around. But yeah, I really don't like how you kind of just got to blow everything out of the water the second they announce new cards. And that is why, so I don't play standard, like the 60 card, 60 card deck, 4 copies of each card. I don't do that because that is where it's, like, super meta, and that's where you have to really pay attention to everything as they release and stuff. I play, as we all know, as we've been talking, the Commander format, which is, you can get meta there, but what I really like about the format is that it makes it open to any, like, as long as you're creative and you can have strategies and engines, you can make zillions of like weird decks that are all completely viable. Like, I have this Miku deck that is really just it's about 70% lands, couple creatures, and then like a bunch of enchantments just to help bring Miku back. It like we know it kicked ass. I have a Captain America deck that is all just about playing artifacts and throwing them at people. It works, even though it's really not that great. So, like, the turnover rate is bad, and it turns off so many players, and it's just so unfortunate. Andrew says, like, when I was playing Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh! Seriously, I would have some text that I'd slot in depending on the specific meta, of course. Or between sets, sideboarding, baby. That's all I should need to do for at least a few sets. Yes, I agree with that. Again, I think once you get to, like, second set out or third set out, it's not unfair to ask you to put in, like, 1 or 2 cards, right? But I generally agree. There should be no point unless you're like 3 years out where your deck comes out and it's just worthless or like doesn't have anything to do. So yeah, Hasbro, Magic, all of that stuff is sort of really shaky right now. But you know what? That means I can get singles for like 10 cents. And that's what I went to grab. I got like 40 cards today for a total of like $20, which was fantastic. But yes, let's see. Where are we now? Obviously, yeah, card games are love, card games are life. But let's see. Wow, we've already gone like an hour and a half. Let's see, what topic should we talk about right now? You know what? I think I'm going to talk about this topic because it is probably, it's the newest one, and I think it's probably something, or not, let me rephrase that. We should talk about this one because not only did it just drop, but it's very relevant to everything or at least I talk about on the show and the sort of vibes we go for. But let's we'll talk about this. Andrew says, oh, totally. Adapting a deck to account for new threats or even gaining new threats of your own, totally fair. But tossing out a deck after a set or two, nah, not interested. Exactly. What is it? There was some game recently. And by recently, I mean like a couple years ago. I want to say it was Yu-Gi-Oh! Where players got like really pissed because every set that was coming out wasn't just like, you know, there's a new meta. It was like there's a completely, like we are reshaping the earth for this meta. And you've got to like learn it every set. And people were just being like, I can't do it. Like I can't do it. You're asking way too much. It's too expensive. I'll never know. Like, I can never anticipate what you guys want from us. So, yeah, a good card game should be able to keep your kit viable for a decent amount of time. Unfair to ask for forever, but at least a decent amount of time. All right, so enough of the Magic the Gathering talk. I know that that really only appeals to me and Andrew. Oh, also, side note, like, all of my decks are basically, like, I am the problem when it comes to Magic because all of my decks are themed around like third-party IPs. Like I got my Miku deck. I have my Captain America deck with the Captain America card. I have a deck with that's built around Zangief from Street Fighter. There are no licensed cards in this deck I'm building, but I'm building one around Ghost Rider, right? So I am the problem. I am the one who knocks. Yes, okay, I was totally right. Yeah, Konami broke Yu-Gi-Oh! After like 2019, 2020 really bad. I stopped around then. That's kind of what I was remembering, and I'm glad that I wasn't completely off base. And it's too bad. It's too bad, like, when a game gets ruined like that. I have no idea how they are now. Clearly, Yu-Gi-Oh's still going, so maybe they recovered, or maybe just everybody is so broken that they're like, screw it, I'm already here. We're just going to play. All right, so let's get into a little bit of a, I don't want to say drama, but current events, let's say. So, as you guys may know, we all know Smash JT. He is I guess probably the best way to describe him is an anti-woke YouTuber who covers primarily video games. He, he is blown up in the past few, I want to say like in the past year or so, past few months, primarily with his coverage of things like Assassin's Creed and like Kingdom Come and sort of all that stuff. He was. He runs in like the TPP circle, which is great. You know, we love everybody over at TPP. Was really close with Trent for a while before Trent decided to, excommunicate him because Smash said, I don't believe in censoring art, even if I disagree with the content. And, Trent lost his mind because if he can't be a victim, I don't want to engage with you. So for these past few weeks, you guys, or like a long time on the show, you guys know that I have spoken out a lot against sort of not Smash as a person, but and not even his specific content, but sort of this genre of content, this very reactionary. We're gonna tell you sort of exactly what you need to know, picking fights with everybody. You know, like I know like he's got that lawsuit against Alyssa Mercante, but as I've told you guys, like while I think Alyssa sort of was being stupid by going and contacting his wife, Smash JT also like you were fighting in the situation too. You can't poke fun at people, you can't insult people and like harass them, or not harass, but you can't like get in a fight with somebody, verbal or otherwise, and then go, whoa, why are you punching at me? This is uncalled for. You know what I mean? So but even aside from that, he's very much been on the, you know, kind of like Endymion, just, I'm here to, you know, be like, cover the news. And it's just, if you've been a longtime viewer of the show, you know that I'm not a big fan of this style because it's often very misleading. It's very, you know, devoid of context. It's very, let's react in the worst way possible instead of giving anybody a benefit of the doubt or interrogating anything. And then especially because their arguments really don't boil down to more than this is woke, right? And that doesn't really help anybody because you just go woke. What does that mean? Oh no, it's woke. Well, then I'm not going to listen to you. I'm going to go actually make my game. So I've never been a big fan of their content. I've spoken to Smash a few times. He seems like a decent enough person. Like I don't have any personal beef with him. I don't think he's a bad person. I just disagree with this style of content. And, you know, for the longest time, I have been telling you guys, especially when it came to Endymion, that I don't trust like those sources. Endymion, for example, has had a lot of, you know, here's my insider scoop, and all of these scoops are telling you exactly what you want to hear, right? Like, we all want to hear that everybody at Ubisoft is unhappy with the game. And here's Endymion with a source telling you exactly that. Every time in like Endymion or Smash has a scoop, it's never, uh-oh guys, this isn't working out for our side. It's always, yeah, we're winning. They're all secretly on our side. You know they're on our side. There's a cabal against us. And it's like, that should be your first indication that all of whatever they're reporting on should be sniffed out. Like at least give it a smell check, because rarely is anything perfect to what you specifically want. And if something sounds too good to be true, 99% of the time, it is. And so, you know, that's why I've never reported on an Endymion tip on Bounding Into Comics. I know Cider's covered it, but again, we are a collective of independent writers. That was his decision, not my decision. And you know what? If that's what he wants to cover, if that's what he wants to have his opinion on, cool. Add it to the conversation. Just because I disagree doesn't mean I don't want you to talk about it or give your opinion. So for these past few months, I've been, you know, blaring that horn. Don't listen to Mark Kern. Don't listen to Endymion. Or if you do, just give them a little bit of interrogation, just like you would if Jason Schreier or Alyssa Mercante would write an article, right? We have to be able to scrutinize everybody, even if they're on our side. And today, this is what happens when you don't, right? So Andrew says, if something sounds like it's feeding into your confirmation bias and just one you want to hear, then you should scrutinize it all the more. Exactly. Oftentimes, guys, whatever, the truth is always going to be in between what the loudest voices are saying. So somebody on the right might be saying, oh, this is woke, disgusting garbage. Somebody on the left might be saying, oh, you're being, you know, stupid, you know, bigots about everything. And you go, well, what's the truth? Okay, some people are acting stupid. You know, there's always, the truth is never exactly what we want to hear. It's never, like let me present this to you guys. If all of these scoops are true, if every single person in Ubisoft, if every single person, you know, in their leadership is really aligned against this game, why are we getting it? Why haven't there been other like exposés, right? From, and this is no denigration to Smash or anybody who's spoken to a alleged source, but why are you the only one hearing about it and not perhaps an outlet like, I don't know, Eurogamer? Again, Eurogamer is not perfect, but they do screw up a lot and they do have a lot of bad takes, but they're at least one of the only outlets that will look into this stuff, right? Like if you bring them a tip, they'll go, let's look, like let's see what's going on. And sometimes they'll say, oh yeah, this is something we need to report on. Other times they'll go, nah, nothing really here. But yeah, always scrutinize, always make sure that what you're reading is, factual. Yeah, and that unfortunately takes a little bit of effort. You got to go to multiple sources, maybe even ones you don't like. But unfortunately, like, we should be dedicated to the truth. Whoa, and puberty apparently. But we should be dedicated to the truth, not just stirring shit up. And again, this all leads us to what happened today. So a couple hours ago, Smash drops this video saying, exclusive, Ubisoft insider says Assassin's Creed Shadows delayed again. Blows it out there, says it's an exclusive, says delayed till May 2025. Of course, you can see so many views, so many likes. No idea. Let's see what the YouTube video actually has. Pardon me. Whew, pardon me. 15K views. Interesting. Clearly, people are rushing to see, like, whoa, what is this big scoop? Unfortunately, for Smash, there was... where... I just saw it. I know it's in his... I know it's in the quotes. So, unfortunately, Smash, it turns out, got duped. And McDizzle Gaming here... Now, if you guys don't know McDizzle Gaming, I don't really know them a lot, but I have to give them credit because they have been one of the very few individuals who has been actively, like, trying to hold Mark Kern accountable for everything with Ember and all of the money and all of his, like, complete... I know the word is overused, but his grifting. So McDizzle Gaming has sort of been on that bent, done a lot of good work there. And, here, as they detail in this tweet, they basically just sent Smash JT this email, which, I'm on contract with Ubisoft Montreal as a programmer until the end of March, working mainly on Assassin's Creed Hex, which has its problems with scope creep, but I also work closely with the Shadows team. I am contacting you regarding an upcoming and unannounced delay with the Shadows. This is mainly due to complaints from cultural officials around the destructions of shrines, but also to patch numerous bugs. The delay should be announced in about a week, and it will probably be until May. Sharing this with you as the game is in a not ready state and disrespectful to Asian culture. Although I work with some good people, the team is a mess. My name is redacted if you want to confirm, but I do not want my name to have anything to do with this as I need to find a job after this contract is done and I would be breaking NDA. So that's the message McDizzle sent to Smash. And unfortunately, Smash kind of showed his whole ass right here, which is he ran with this rumor, didn't check it at all, even though there was a name provided to him right there, just says, thank you for the information. I'll keep it anonymous. No interrogation, no saying, hey, can you give me any proof? Can you show me like a badge? Can you show me anything? Like, please? He just heard what he wanted to hear and went, I'm going to run with it. And while this is bad for Smash, this is also bad for sort of, I don't want to say our side, but our argument, right? Where it's like, we want to be able to call out these things and talk about what they do wrong. But when you have people out here who just want to run and exploit whatever controversy is going on, whether it's Smash running with a unsubstantiated rumor, whether it's Endymion doing the same, whether it's Trent and JDA straight up, lying, and I really hope they get sued, by calling Daniel Vavra and the Kingdom Come 2 team pedophiles, right? Like, all of this isn't doing anything but serving their own egos. They are no different than the Quartering or Tim Pool or any of these other people who really don't contribute anything except to inflame you and make you pissed off. It's disappointing, and I know it might be a bit childish, but I'm gonna take this moment and be like, I told you so. This is why people ask, why aren't you covering this on Bounding? What about this? And it's like, guys, like Andrew says right here, man, that's like journalism 101. Check your sources. Maybe the internet and maybe a lot of our readers might view the site as just another pop culture site in the vein of Screen Rant or whatever, but I take this job super seriously, and I always have. So I treat Bounding as a legitimate news organization, which means we check things, we make sure we source everything. When you go look at almost any other website, if they say, oh yeah, EA made this announcement on their blog, they're not going to link you to the blog. You're going to go, what the fuck, which blog? And you have to go find it yourself. We will provide it with you. But yeah, like this is sort of my I told you so moment. We need to be better and not just stooping down to the same level of let me say whatever to get clicks, to, you know, push a narrative. It's really sad, and I really don't have anything else to say outside of told you so. And guys, always check your sources, always check anything. Even if you see somebody who makes a tweet, before you react to it and share it to all your friends, if you think it's insane, look at it, read into it, because I almost guarantee, whether intentional or not, that person is probably being hyperbolic to some degree, whether they're making a joke or whether they are just being hyper irrational and going, wow, this person wants to, you know, destroy this game. And you go and you click on the tweet and it's like, okay, they're like, yeah, I hate this game. I wish it was thrown into a river. It's like, okay, they're not saying they want the game. Like, that's clearly just an over the top expression of their frustration. Can we all chill the fuck out? Yeah. Like we learned to cite sources in middle school. Well, they don't do it. No, none of these individuals do that. That's what really bugs me is that, you know, Endymion, Smash, they always go, my sources, my sources, my sources. And I'm like, but they're saying everything. Again, it's a mess. It's not great. I don't know how Smash recovers from this. I mean, he will. If you saw, you know, when we go to his video, which was, yeah, we'll just go here. If you go to his video, he left a response, update, this has been confirmed to be a troll email, but doesn't change my feelings about Assassin's Creed Shadow. And it's like, well, maybe you should take the video down because it's fucking fake. The fucking thumbnail you put here, Smash, like, or okay, it's not going to go anymore because I have autoplay on, but like, you still have your video up that says delayed again until May 2025. That's not good journalistic ethics. That's being a shit because you're going, oh, I need the clicks. I still want the money. I still want the income. Yes, like, we understand that. Here's the problem, guys. You can't have your cake and eat it too. If you want to be respected and looked at as like a valid source that people can trust, you need to be able to take your L's. If you don't want to take your L's and ensure things like I'm going to have all of my money coming into me exactly how it should be, then okay, but then you can't really get upset when people go, I don't trust you. And it's just, I mean, this is kind of what I've held about Endymion for months. My sources equal trust me, bro. If everything sounds so perfect, it's probably not. So all I guess the stamp to put on this is, critical thinking, guys. Take a second to think, take a second to look into things, and also, like, make up your own decision. I don't know. I don't know. I'm just so disappointed, I guess. I'm just like, I knew this was going to happen. I really don't have a good end cap to this discussion. I've kind of like said all my thoughts. We knew this was going to happen at some point. Smash got busted. Smash is a good guy as far as I know, but I've always disagreed with his content presentation, and here we go. So, again, use bounding. Of course, I'm always going to support my own site, but also go to other, outlets. Go to that Park Place where Marvin and Jonas take a more, right-leaning and also look into how this might work, like how this might affect like Marvel or Disney or whomever, like business-wise. I would say go check out, Hypnotic. As much as I tend to disagree with Hypnotic's presentation as well, I can't disagree that the man is actually, like, he's earned my respect because he's truthful, he's honest. So use multiple sources, don't play favoritism, and yeah, remember, you're not the main character. Like, you are probably 99.99999% chance you're not a main character. So I don't know. Like, do you really think? I don't know. It's also stupid. People delude themselves into thinking like, yes, it's all coming together for us. It's this weird, like, realistic, like, real world fan fiction or delusion probably. And it always baffles me because I'm like, what are we going to do? Yeah, it's been one of those days. It's rough. It's unfortunate. I really can't say any more than that, because again, this wasn't a random act of chance. Smash had every opportunity to look into things, and he didn't. Right? Like, it's kind of on him. I wish him the best. Again, I have no ill will towards him as a person. I knew this was going to happen eventually. But let's see. With that unfortunate occurrence aside, let's get into the real the actual. Let's get into a real topic that we can all talk about. That doesn't really have to play with community or anything, but is nonetheless one of the stupidest things I have seen in a long time. Well, we're gonna do two things that are really dumb, because I want to talk about one of them in particular. So we're gonna jump over to the world of comic books, guys, and the first thing we're gonna talk about is our friend Tom Brevoort is at it again. The Marvel Comics executive editor basically told a reader in his recent blog that despite the fact that Marvel Rivals has made Galacta super popular, he personally doesn't want anything to do with the character. And his reasoning was that, as you can see here, I don't like what the existence of that character does to Galactus. Now, I don't care if you like her or not. Like, you can have your own opinions on every character and that sort of stuff, right? But what really bothers me here, so I've always liked Galacta ever since she was introduced, because all these pages on this article are from her original comic, and I always thought she was just sort of, she's cute. She was a fun little one-off that played with just like an interesting concept and was very lighthearted, right? And obviously she's got a banging design. I'm not gonna lie about that. So I've always sort of liked her. When she made her return for Marvel Rivals, if you guys follow me on Twitter or in any of the Discords, you'll remember I was super stoked. I'm like, oh my god, it's Galactus, she's back, my waifu. And yeah, so it's bizarre that for once Marvel isn't like taking an opportunity to capitalize on like a crossover synergy hit. Like, that doesn't happen from Marvel or even DC. They see one thing gets popular and they milk that for ever and 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 ever. And now this is popular and Brevoort goes, no, we don't want to do anything with that. Okay, what's your reasoning, Brevoort? I don't like what it does to Galactus. Okay, here's the problem. Or here, let me read the full answer. He says, Jordan D. White, who was the editor who worked on her first story, has been waiting for his chance to do more Galacta ever since he helped to innovate that character years ago. But as Fantastic Four editor, I have to say I don't like what the existence of that character does to Galactus, so I'm very much in favor of refraining from more Galacta content, at least within the mainstream MU, which, like Earth 616. Now, that's so bullshit, because Galacta was never part of Earth 616. All of these stories have been long confirmed to be taking place in like different realities. So is it really, to me, it's like you don't even want to do like a one shot where you bring back Adam Warren and what's this guy's name? He's such a good illustrator. Hector Sevilla Lujan. Like, you don't want to bring them back for a one shot or like a mini series and just, capitalize off of that. Give them some, give the fans what they want, because like I want to see more Galacta. I love her as a character. I'll buy some foil covers. You guys know me. Like, it's a win-win here, Marvel. So why don't you? It's just dumb. And it's also like, I don't like what the character's existence does to Galactus. Well, A, she already exists. Yeah, you really can't put her back in the box. And again, she's not Earth 616 Galactus, has nothing to do with him. So like a completely non-canon thing, I don't know why it has to be such an issue for you guys. And yeah, like Timon says, leave her in these games, no problem about that. And I get that, because yes, most likely, there's a good shot that if she gets handled in the comics, she's going to be handled poorly. But I still want to see her. I still want, like, this is a character I like. Make at least like some one shot. They even left her story off on a cliffhanger, because for those of you guys who don't really know Galacta, her whole thing is basically she is, so what happened was a cosmic like tapeworm parasite sort of blinks into existence when Galactus is feeding one day, and it blinks into existence in like within his power cosmic field. So it becomes this weird like super powered worm that he like was gaining sentience. So he's like, that's all right. So he like adopts it, but then changes it into, you know, Galacta using the power cosmic. So it's like her daughter. And then at the end of her last one shot, it's revealed that the parasite is sort of like reviving itself, and she's essentially pregnant with the new parasite. Follow up on that? No? Okay. Like, again, this is just one where I'm personally like a little bummed, because I'm like, this is my girl. Like, let me see her. You're not gonna let me have Ben. At least let me see Galacta. And unfortunately, not even that is gonna happen. I need to go run for a second, guys. I have no water. We still have 30 minutes left in the show, and if I don't get something to drink, we're not gonna make it. So give me 1 second, talk amongst yourselves, and I will be right the heck back. No green screen, no. All right. No, green screen. Do not look behind the magic. All right. Cool. We are back. I've got water. Let's get to what we all want to get to. Well, I wouldn't say we all actually want to get to it, but it's something that we're going to have to be dealing with whether we like it or not, which is, as you guys might have seen earlier this week, Marvel Comics is apparently teasing some sort of something to do with none other than Gwen Stacy. So this is going to be a very angry segment. But so yeah, we all know Gwen Stacy, first love of Peter Parker's life, killed by the Goblin when he throws her off the bridge. We've all been there. We all know how that goes. She's come back, you know, as I pointed out in this very long paragraph. She's been revived off and on throughout the years, mostly as clones, sometimes as like a celestial construct. But regardless, she herself has never, ever, 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 like Earth 616, real Gwen, ever actually like come back to life. Pardon me. In this issue of Amazing Spider-Man, which was a tie-in to the AVX Eternals event, the Judgment Day, where the Celestial was judging everybody. What was I going to say? During that event, the Celestial sort of has he gives everybody on Earth, like, he judges them. And it takes the form of, like, somebody close to them looks like this and kind of follows them around all day and observes them. And in the end of this issue, after the Celestial's like, no, you're good, Spider-Man, Gwen is revived. Like, it appears to be like her, like actually her. She's like revived for like 5 seconds and then she like disappears into the wind. I don't know if you really want to count that. I don't, but it is what it is. I disagree with this. I actually am of the opinion that Spider-Man was the one who killed her. Unfortunately, yes, it was the Goblin who would have killed her anyway by throwing her off the bridge and putting her in that situation. But it was the web line that snapped her neck. Also, I want to point something out to you guys really quick because this. I know I pointed this out to you, Andrew, and it blew your mind, and it continues to blow my mind at every fucking turn. Um, so I'll do the same setup I did with Andrew. Guys, take a look at this. Take a look at this page. Do you enjoy this art? What is your read of sort of this art? Right? Do you think it's great? I don't know. If you're like me, you probably thought, wow, why did you randomly get like a weird filler artist to do this issue? Especially one who is this bad compared to John Romita Jr. And again, I know a lot of people like to crap on his work. I still like when he's good, Romita is good. But all right. So switch the thing over. Comic Top. So yeah, we had this issue, and so yeah, I bring up this issue. Here's just to kind of show you guys the artwork, right? Like, I'm guessing anybody who's watching right now, you're probably noticing like that's not great. Why are we doing this art in not just a comic book, like a published comic, but the mainline Amazing Spider-Man book? Like, it's not terrible, but it's also not something I would put on my main freaking book, right? Or even necessarily a superhero comic right away. Like, you can see everything, it's all there. Right, exactly, Timon. It's pretty bad. Now, this comic was written in 2022, published in 2022. Do you guys want to know who this artist is? Like, and this, I shit you not, that the artist that we are looking at right here, this is the same artist who does this. Like, that is Nick Dragotta, who was on that Amazing Spider-Man filler issue. The fucking artist right now for Absolute Batman. Guys, like, this is a testament to never give up. 2 years, he went from that Spider-Man issue to this. To all of the amazing things we are seeing in Absolute Batman. So, never give up. You can always get better. But yeah, I figured that. I only found that out because I used that image in the Bounding article when I was putting in the like credit caption. And I was just like, oh man, holy crap. And like, I ran over to Andrew immediately. I was like, dude, you're never going to believe this. So, yeah, it's pretty great. Yeah, good job on you, Nick Dragotta. Everything looks great. Like, you're doing way better now. I genuinely love all your stuff on Absolute Batman. We're working here. Yeah, like you're cooking now. No more derpy Spider-Man. It wasn't even a horror book. It was like, it's just like one book crossover filler. Again, that's the volume 6 of Amazing Spider-Man run. That's the Zeb Wells run. It's not good in general. Like, it's just, I wouldn't recommend anybody spend any amount of time or money reading it. Again, it's got my boy Ed McGuinness on art for like the latter half of it. I still say avoid it like the plague. But anyway, back to what we were talking about. Woo! So earlier this week, we got this random teaser, was emailed to a bunch of news outlets, including, like AIPT, Bounding, CBR, all that fun stuff. And what we see is all we see in this image is a shadow of the shadow of an unseen figure standing over the dug up grave of Gwen Stacy with the shovel actively still in the dirt, meaning they just dug it. Now, admitted, in the interest of fairness, we do not know whether this is related to Gwen herself, like Gwen Stacy or 616. We don't know if this is Spider-Gwen related. We don't know if this is main universe. We don't know if this is Ultimate. We don't know if this is we don't know anything outside of literally all we are seeing here in this image. However, that doesn't Marvel doesn't really get credit here for like, oh, let's wait and see what they're going to do. Because even if this is, let's say, the death of like, or old woman Spider-Gwen or something like that, right? They still came out and advertised it like this. They can't do that card where it's like, yeah, we like everybody got tricked. I wonder how that happened. You guys are literally telling us whatever you're doing in May has to do with Gwen Stacy being dug up. Whatever it's going to be. And you know what? Like, it kind of doesn't matter what it's going to be. There's not, like, this is a bad move. Like this is... So there used to be this phrasing, or this phrase, when I was a teenager. Nobody in comics stays dead except for Uncle Ben and Bucky. And obviously we all know that, and that was supposed to sort of reflect on the fact that comic book deaths never stick. And at the time, like when I was a kid, to like when I was 17, 18, yeah, Bucky was always dead. Ben was always dead. Jason Todd was sometimes used in that conversation. And then in like the same year, Jason and Bucky were both revived. Funnily enough, as both like gun-toting sort of psychopaths, right? Of course, Winter Soldier's brainwashed. And oh my gosh, why am I blanking? Other guy, Jason Todd is just sort of, I guess you could call brainwashing as sort of the, what do you call it? Like the Lazarus pits, if you will. But anyway... So, in the years from that, like in the years since, that phrase has sort of gone out the window to the point where, like, not only is Bucky running around now, as we all know, like the Winter Soldier, but Uncle Ben, while not alive in the 616, has been brought back multiple times in the Spider-Verse books as like an alternate universe Spider-Man. So it's like, technically he's back too. So it's really frustrating because we as comic book fans, do expect some level of weird revival or shenanigans like that to bring back a character. But I think after 40, 50, 60 years from both big two publishers of this, I think fans are sort of like tired of it, right? Like, I know Andrew and I complain about this on Foil Variant all the time, but nothing sticks. The second a big development happens, we all pretty much know, like, all right, they're going to, like, we know this is getting undone. It's not maybe it'll get undone in the next crossover. We just all know it's going to happen. Detour to explain that. I actually, because I didn't get to hang out with Andrew last night, I actually went over and hung out with Marvin and all of them over at Tooneytown. And we also talked about this. But characters these days aren't allowed, like, we exist at like sort of the peak, like the peak moment of comic book, video game, entertainment, corporatism, right? Which is, and what I mean by that is all of the characters we know and love, nothing is allowed to happen to them at all that will make them deviate from how do you put this? The marketable version, right? So, you ask, hey man, what do you know about the Incredible Hulk? Well, I know it's Bruce Banner. I know he got, you ask like an average person, not even like a normie, just like like average moviegoer, right? What do you know about the Hulk? I know he, Bruce Banner, maybe he got his powers from a bomb. He's green. When he gets mad, he turns into the Hulk and Hulk smash, right? Because that's what people know and that's what they can sort of sell merchandise on, you're never going to let the Hulk, or like the Hulk will never ever really truly evolve past I'm mad, I smash. And we have like an example of that because if you guys remember the run of the Immortal Hulk by Al Ewing and Joe Bennett, who, as we, over at the Rippaverse now, go Joe. But that series, I don't know if anybody here has read it. That series is so damn good and does an amazing exploration of like what the Hulk is. It evolves him in this way that is so it is such a good like development for his character. The second that run ends with like issue 50, they rebooted it, or they relaunched it, sorry. Incredible Hulk Volume 7 revolves around Banner sort of piloting Banner's mind serving as like a pilot to the Hulk mecha as a metaphor, and just trying to control him smashing. Like, and that's right. Like, if you read Immortal Hulk, you're like, let that stick with him forever. Let's hold on to this concept of the Green Door, or like the Devil Hulk being the one who was like looking after him. All of this stuff. No, you can't have that, because if we do that, then there's going to be a slight deviation between the comic book version and the marketable version, and people are going to get lost. And, you know, the biggest example I give of that is actually Miles Morales, where, so we all know, I have always been, when Miles first showed up, I was open to the idea. I thought, whoa, what, like, Peter is dead. Who is this new kid? How did he get his, like, powers? I didn't care about any of that race stuff until, or I still don't, but then Marvel, you know, latched onto that and sort of made that his character. As a result, you know, we really only got one good Miles story, and that was the first story, right? Which is the one that they retell in Spider-Verse, which is, I'm Spider-Man now, I'm trying to find my way around. Oh, there's the Prowler, that's a villain, I should stop. Oh my God, it is my uncle, what do we do? And that is, you know, admittedly, it's a good story. It's a good, what do you want, like, twist or different perspective on the whole Spider-Man's uncle is his, like inspiration and icon angle. There was a lot of cool stuff you could do there. After that arc, Marvel went, oh, we can use Miles to sort of, you know, virtue signal and say, hey, come look at us. Let us sell you Miles. Because of that, we no longer get anything interesting from him. In that first arc, you have fledgling hero who is unsure of himself. You have police officer father who is a black man, which has a lot of inherent drama in its own. You have his uncle being a villain, a black man who is a hyper tech, tech supported thief. He's the Prowler. A lot of that stuff is pretty edgy. A lot of, or not, I don't want to say edgy, but it can open itself up to lots of drama, lots of turmoil, lots of hard conversations. I mean, they even have that in one of the first few issues about, like, how does it feel to be Miles as Spider-Man while his cop father hates him, even though he's a black man. Like, it's just, there's a lot you can do there. But the real meat of that, of Miles's character, is going to be in the uncomfortable parts, the parts that we don't necessarily always want to talk about when we're talking about representation, but the things like I was talking about, right? Like, how does a black kid, a half black, half Mexican kid, deal with the idea of working with law enforcement? How does that work with his dad being one, with his uncle being one? Like, you know, another black man as a thief, what does his uncle have to say? Like, all that stuff is there for us to dig into, but because Marvel says, no, we need to be safe and marketable with him, we can't have any of that. You can't show Miles having an identity crisis about his race, or interrogating the bad circumstances of, like, Brooklyn at night or whatever. Like, you can't have any of that because, ooh, I don't know if I want to buy the action figure where his uncle's a thief. I don't know about that. What does that say about black people? It's like, oh, we got to make this as safe as possible. So that's why, what is Miles's personality right now, guys? Sneakers, anime, rap. Like, it almost feels like a racist caricature because, yeah, black kids are into that, but they're also into a lot more stuff, but you won't let him explore who he is because you need him to stay marketable. And yeah, so, like, I don't even know how I got on this topic, but essentially, I now I remember, because we're all sort of getting tired of this, right? That knowing that no matter what anybody does that's even the slightest bit creative, it's going to get, you know, rocked away unless it is done to a very obscure side character. Like Chasm, I genuinely, unfortunately, think Ben's going to be Chasm for a good long while, if he ever puts the hoodie back on. But they can do that because that's not their flagship character. It's some side nerd. And again, just because you do something different with a character or something new with a character, that doesn't necessarily mean the story is going to be great. You still have to put in the effort and you still have to put in the work. But if I know that what I'm reading right now is going to have actual staying power and repercussions, I'm going to care more than if I open up something and go, okay, we're going to be done after this. It's sort of like the difference between you can pick up like a one shot about your favorite character and read it and go like, that was a fun little self-contained story, but you're going to be more invested and care more with the ongoing series because that's where everything is actually happening. So yeah, we might get cool one-off series about like a one-shot about Galacta, but they're not going to do anything else with her anywhere like beyond that. So when you try to bringing this back to Gwen, when you try to pull this on us, you don't get to pull the card, Marvel, after this going like, aha, of course it wasn't that. Why did everybody overreact? Because this is how you're setting it up. And honestly, I think it speaks to where the Spider editorial office right now is right now, because this is where they're fucking at. They're at, let's dig up Gwen Stacy. For whatever reason. There is no outcome here that looks good for them. They're either doing it to main Gwen, Earth 616, and, well, you guys are lazy and kind of out of touch because you're really going to that well. Or this has to do with, like, Spider-Gwen or whatever, and then it's like, oh, you just tried to shock value us. Do you really have anything else left in the canon? No. And you know, this really links back to what Timon said a little while ago when we first got to this topic, which is Marvel hates Spider-Man. Like, I genuinely hold this. I've held it for pretty much the entire time we've been doing this show. Marvel does hate Spider-Man. Nobody hates Spider-Man more. It's his biggest enemy. Even, like, if Norman Osborn got the Venom symbiote and then also somehow fused brains with Otto Octavius, they still wouldn't hate, like, Spider-Man as much as Marvel does, right? And it's just like, what are we supposed... What do you want from me here, Marvel? Like, is anybody supposed to be excited about this? Genuine, actual question. Who is excited for this? Who looks at this image and goes, like, this could cook? Go peruse the replies to any share of this image, whether it's from Marvel or like Game Rant or CBR, all of the replies, you will see everybody going, when the hell is this book? Like, when are you like going to leave him alone? When is Nick Lowe going to go? Everybody is sick of this. And yet, for some reason, Marvel will not, well, we know the reason, it's that corporatism reason. Like, Marvel will not allow us to move forward because you know what? What's the marketable version of Peter? What's the pop culture version of Peter? Downtrodden, struggling youth who has trouble paying the bills and has a rocky love life. Even though that's not even really what his character is, that's sort of the Flanderized interpretation we got from years of the like Raimi films and the animated series. One of the things that really pisses me the fuck off, and I wanted to talk about this a few weeks ago, but we ran out of time, but here's a perfect opportunity to do it, is Brevoort, Nick Lowe, everybody who's currently in charge of something spider-related regularly makes this argument, you know, whether when they're in an interview or they're at a panel, any of these people will inevitably be asked, why can't we have, you know, Peter and MJ? Why are you guys so opposed to letting them get back together? And the answer is always, well, it wasn't always this, but in recent years, the rhetoric has become, oh, well, Spider-Man is my mic? What's wrong with my mic? Is it getting too loud? Oh, I think I swung it a little too close to myself. My bad about that. My bad, guys. Didn't mean to get super loud and yell in your ear. Even though that's just generally how this show goes, right? But dang, now what was I talking about? Gwen, Spidey, people don't want it anymore. Yeah, I was on that kicker, and oh, right, now I remember. Yes, the Spider editorial room. So yeah, they'll get asked, why can't he, be married? Why can't we bring back Mayday? All the sort of fun stuff. And in recent years, I want to say, like, since maybe the first Spider-Verse movie, so it's like, what, 2018, 2019, the editorial room for Spider-Man always gives the answer of, well, Spider-Man's supposed to be a youthful character. He's supposed to be the one that, you know, all the kids connect to. Like that's his role in the Marvel universe. And it's like, no. I need to I wanted to talk about this specifically because I know it's only me and like the other 5 Spider fans out there in the world who care about this shit, but it's like you only think Spider-Man is a young character because that's what all the recent adaptations have done, right? Like Spectacular Spider-Man, Ultimate Spider-Man, the cartoon, not the comic book, the what the frick was it called? Web Warriors, the Tom Holland movies. Like they all leaned into that young Peter Parker, but that's not what he is. If you guys remember, like, think about the 90s animated series. Peter's like late 20s in that series. He's so like more to okay, that was sort of like a little, I don't know where I want to use that evidence, but it's out there. My main point is that if you guys actually go back and read like Amazing Spider-Man, the Lee Ditko run, Spidey was only a teenager for about 3 years of real time and 1 year, like 1.5 years like in universe time. Because 1963, we get Peter. 1965 is when he starts going to New York State University. So not even 3 years, 2 years is when he starts going to ESU and meets Gwen and meets Harry and starts getting into all those shenanigans. He was not a teenager for that long, but because all of the adaptations have focused on that, that is now the marketable version of Peter that we get, and that is what they have to push now. And I know I'm not the only one here, upset about that at this awful, I don't even know what you want, like this awful approach to character development or story or narrative or just anything like that. It's just, yeah, exactly, Timon. Less than 10% of his entire, dude, less than like 5%. We are at, let's see, here, we'll do the math. I won't do the math. I'll make the computer do the math, but I'm going to show all, like, let's find out, because I know that the number is going to be way worse than that. So, let's see. What was the most recent issue? Here, let's see this. I believe, what is the issue of Empire State? Okay, so Spidey goes to Empire State. He starts at Empire State in Amazing Spider-Man Volume 1. So the 31st issue of Amazing Spider-Man, 1965. That is when he starts in ESU. It's actually the issue with the title, If This Be My Destiny. And it leads into that whole arc where he has to get the cure for Aunt May and all that fun stuff. So let's see, I know we got one this week. We got Amazing Spider-Man Volume 6, number 67. So that is 961. So, like, 31 divided by, what is that going to be? 961? That is 3%. 3% of Peter Parker's, and Timon, as Timon knows, we're just calculating the Amazing Spider-Man run. So, Amazing Spider-Man, less than, or about 3% of Amazing Spider-Man is focused on Peter in high school. The rest of it has always been college and higher. So this idea of him as a youthful character, yes, but that doesn't mean child. It's somebody who's, the point of Spider-Man is to follow him and grow up with him, right? Like, learn what it means to be a teenager, shouldering the responsibility of the world as you grow up, and how do you make that all sort of, like, glide together and work. If, like saying, oh, he's only supposed to be a teenager, what does that do for anybody? That doesn't give us anything. Like that's the setup for an origin story. Sure, he's a teenager, and now we fast forward, and Peter is 25, or like, it's so absurd. It's absurd. It's sad. We're obviously, like, I'm running into that issue again where it's like, what else do I have to say about this? I don't think this is going to be anything good. I genuinely cannot fathom. And this is me, guys. This is me, Mr. Creativity, Mr. Try to find the optimism in everything, try to look on the brighter side. There is not a single possible outcome to what they reveal with this teaser image that I can imagine getting a reaction that's anywhere near like, oh, okay, interesting. Whether it's main Gwen, ultimate Gwen, Spider Gwen, any of this stuff, it's just going to be a really sad, cheap ploy for sales, attention, and pardon me, and you know what'll be even more insulting? If this is actually Gwen, and they actually just like bring her back. Like, I'm gonna be so mad if Gwen Stacy is now a character going forward, like in the 616, because we're already gonna have that's just gonna give him more excuses to play up Peter's stupid love life instead of getting him with MJ. It's gonna give weird new life to the shipping discourse that happens about like should he be with MJ or Gwen, and I just want a good story, man. Thankful again. Shout out to Jonathan Hickman and Marco Cicchetto for actually delivering like a quality read with Ultimate, but it's still rough. Let's see. Sakura says, "I see Gwen's hair in the shadow," and then Andrew says, "No, I bet that's Norman's shadow." I don't even have any guess here. Like like none of them, nothing makes like logical sense in universe. Nothing works with that shape for me. I don't know. We will see. It's just I'm not like excited about that. Andrew says they're going to tie his current arc into Gwen's death and address that. I mean, they've already done that in like every issue of 8 Deaths of Spider-Man. Like, you know that, like, there's always some moment where he's thinking about, like, Gwen died or whatever, and it's like, what do we need to address anymore? We're done here. I fucking forget what series it is, what Spidey is doing, but I just saw the pages, like, this week, but there is an issue of some Spider comic where Peter, like, gets sort of, like, attacked with guilt about, like, I think it's either Uncle Ben or Gwen, and, you know, it's like a psychic attack or it's Mysterio or something, and he's like, no, yeah, that's not going to work on me. Like, it hurts, but that was years ago, and I've dealt with it, and I've moved on, and it's always going to hurt, but you can't destroy me with it. I've made peace with it. And then, you know, he clobbers him. If we've already gotten there, I don't need him to have Gwen around anymore. It's just, when you have, I don't know. We've spent so many years of writers before One More Day talking about how this is why MJ is better over Gwen, of having so many issues of Peter learning to get over Gwen. And now you're just going to go, oh, hey, guys, you guys hate the book that's happening? Let's bring back Gwen. Let's see. Yeah, I saw your what if comment, Sakura. Again, buddy, like, I might not be able to get to everything because I'm talking to everybody and we have the flow of the show. I hear you, dude. I see you. But remember, just sometimes I can't get to everything. Shinkai says, Paul took MJ and now we'll take Gwen is probably the worst thing that... You know what? No. I don't think that's the worst thing that could happen because you know what? I don't like Gwen. Like, I really don't like her as a character. I didn't find her... I've always liked MJ as a better love interest, even way back in those Lee Ditko era books. Like, I've always liked MJ. I maybe this is too harsh of a word to use, but like I've always found Gwen to just be a little vapid. Like in her first appearance, I have it in here. She's you know, like they're talking. It's basically like she's a student at ESU, but she's very much like, I'm so pretty. Like I'm an ex-beauty queen. After this panel, Peter goes over and he like she goes over and is like tries to like flirt with him to like prank him, and she's like, hey, do you have like a pen I could borrow? And he goes like, yeah, here you go. And she's like, excuse me, like you didn't like acknowledge me. And she was always sort of just like the more party-ish girl, not like party, but more like I want to go out and have fun, like the nightlife. There was a cover I saw recently for the Gwen Stacy miniseries that they had to cancel during COVID because production things got all screwed up. But it was by Humberto Ramos, Andrew's guy, and it showed Gwen like on the ESU campus, like reading a book while other like Harry and Flash Thompson are like looking over at her, and Harry's like, you don't want to go like ask her out or whatever. And I'm like, that's not who Gwen was. Like, I'm not saying Gwen was stupid, but Gwen's not the like, I'm going to go read on campus under the tree all like, what do you call it? Like longingly. I'm going to look up the cover so I can really show you guys what I'm talking about. There we are. There's Humberto Ramos. Unfortunately, I mean for me, but not Andrew. Yeah, so like this cover, right? Like good cover, decent cover. I'm not against all the composition and everything, but it's like that's, I don't know if I would depict Gwen as like the bookworm. It's just it. And it also like, so that's why like I've never been a fan of Gwen. So if they want to go give her off to Paul and let MJ go back to Peter, hell yeah. Like let them all go make themselves miserable. Yeah, exactly, Timon, right? Like the 90s cartoon, a success. He's already an adult, like very much an adult. Like he's an adult to the point where he's wearing his short sleeve polo tucked in to his belt, like, and pants, right? Like he is an adult. Yeah, Sakura says Spider-Gwen ruined Gwen. I'm not gonna lie, I really liked the original idea of Spider-Gwen because I really liked that first Spider-Verse event. I thought it did a good job of doing like, here's all the spider people you remember and like know from before. And if you remember, there were only like 5 new ones that they actually introduced into the series. And like one of them was Gwen. One of them was a sort of like Sentai style, Kamen Rider style spider done by Dustin Weaver. One of them was Penny Parker. Another one was just like a version of Peter who is completely like he's a spider and not a man. And then I think one of the other issues, it wasn't his introduction, but it was reminding everybody about Spider-Man Noir. And I thought that first issue, you had a good balance of like, here are new people, and then you really respected everybody we saw before. And I liked the idea of, you know, here's Gwen, and she was the one who was bit instead of Peter, and like, oh, alternate reality, cool. A what if, an Elseworlds. It's just everything they did after that. She has awful books, like they don't know what to do with her. The concept was awesome. They don't know what to do with her. And I really don't blame them. There really isn't a lot you can milk off of that concept. So yeah, like I wouldn't say Spider-Gwen ruined Gwen. I would say Spider-Gwen was cool, and then Marvel decided they just wanted to like throw away everything so that they can try and market her. Shinkai says 60s, 70s, Spider-Man and His Amazing Friend, the animated series, maybe the new animated series, and Unlimited Peter isn't in high school. The new animated series, that's the one from MTV, right? He's definitely not, he's in college in there because that's supposed to be that started life as a tie-in to the Raimi film. So he's definitely not a student there. And yeah, I think it is spectacular and around that time where he's stuck on high school. Yeah, it actually, it's exactly that, Shinkai. If you remember, when I was going through the timeline, it's like you hit spectacular and then you get like Ultimate Spider-Man, Web Warriors off of that, and all of those, everything since Spectacular has been full on, we're going for high school Peter. And it only got worse when that was the version they introduced in the MCU, because now that's what everybody assumes is Peter, is awkward teenage boy. And it's only for 3% of his existence. And I don't know if I finished that thought, but like it's less than 3%. That was only amazing. That's not Spectacular or Web of Spider-Man or Peter Parker Spider-Man or the Spider-Girl series from Tom DeFalco or Ultimate like it's none of that. We only looked at amazing, and it's still only like less than 3%. It's absolutely absurd. And then Shinkai also says, editorial, we don't want to abuse Spider-Man, but our hands are tied. Marvel might be a bigger hater of Spidey than Reverse Flash to Flash. That's actually a pretty good comparison. And at this point, I do not... When I say nobody hates Marvel or Spider-Man more than Marvel, I genuinely mean it. Because this, like, our boy gets no respect anywhere. Right? Like, he's good in Marvel Rivals, and that's the best best representation we've seen in him in ages. No Way Home, it might have been like the last time. And that, like, how bad is it if an MCU movie is the better representation of your character than any recent comic book or any video? Like, it's just, being a Spider fan sucks right now. As I know most of you from following a lot of you on Twitter, I know you guys have the similar sentiments, but it's like, anytime we get something new, it's heartbreaking. Except for Ultimate. Like, anything that comes out of Ultimate Spider-Man is always genuinely like the best series we're reading right now. Anything else with him in it, I want to go away. We didn't get like, I mean, we can get into it now. I know we're hitting that 3 hour mark, but before we get out of here, I can run through what I was going to run through. Unfortunately, Punk's not here anymore, and I was going to run through it while he was. But like, here is Did I open it right? Oh no, it's still open on a bunch of weird stuff. Oh, because I'm not on the comic page. I'm on the web. Always confusing. Back to Batman. Let's see. Yeah, so like we got One World Under Doom. The new crossover started this week. You know, Doom is Sorcerer Supreme. He's going to try and take over the world. It's fine, but it's also like not that, like, it's just, there's sort of nothing. Like there's good interactions between like Spidey and Human Torch here, but it's also the problem I have with this event is basically the setup is like, so what this issue does is it shows Doom basically like hijacks the airwaves, and he's like, I'm gonna make life better for everybody. All of you have like free education, free healthcare, free everything. Like, I will provide, but you're all states of Latveria now. And Zemo and Hydra are like, no, we'll fight back. And they go and they rush Latveria. But then after the attack begins, there's a video of Zemo like shaking hands with Doom and being like, I'm calling off the attack. I talked it out with Doom. He's got good ideas. We will help. Like, Hydra will turn our efforts towards helping to build instead of destroying. And then it turns out that like the Zemo on camera was a Doom bot. And so it was all a lie. And then so Doom comes out and he's like, and he gives a speech to the world. He's like, yes, I lied to you, but I was trying to make you, I was just trying to make this easier on everybody. I made that mistake. I'm so sorry. And it's like, I feel like we've been here before. Like, this just doesn't feel new. Just like supervillain does everything and promises people better life and then deceives everybody and they fall for it. Like, that was Secret Empire. That was Secret Invasion. That was Civil War 2. Like, it's all they do anymore. And it's just such a, it's kind of just a bummer. Like, it's just more of, what are we doing here? Like, literally, what are we doing here anymore, Marvel? I don't know why I thought that was specifically like Spider related, because it's not, but there you go. Quick rundown of One World Under Doom. No real reason to check it out. I don't know if any of you really expected there to be, but hey, there we go. Let's see. Where was it? Sakura here with another what if question. Says, what if Bruce Gamma blood donated to Natasha instead of Jennifer? I mean, we would have just had a Gamma powered Black Widow, right? Like, I don't really know. I don't really see a difference. If we'd have had a Black Widow She-Hulk versus a regular She-Hulk, it would have just been Natasha being able to Hulk out during missions, which might have been cool. But we saw how that worked out during Jason Aaron's run with like White Widow, Red Hulk, and it was kind of lame. So might be like it would be a cool what if they did like, what if this character maybe like got Hulk, maybe not even that. I don't even like that concept anymore. I might have liked that concept in the early 2000s if you did like, what if X character got other characters' powers, but that's what they all are now. Like, that's what the What If series was. That's what all the What If comics are, right? Like the current What If series, what if X was a Herald of Galactus? The last one, what if X was possessed by Venom? Like, okay, not even doing alternate stories anymore. It's just, what if other person has other powers? So, I don't know. Maybe in the alternate MCU future where her and Bruce actually got to have a kid through mystical mumbo jumbo or something. Maybe there's a plot line for them to explore there. Natasha, not so secret agent Hulk, hard to do a stealth mission as Hulk. And that's why, like, I think there might be something fun to play with there where, like, she is a spy, but she still has to deal with hulking out. I don't know. There might be something cool there. I don't know how much life that has as a concept. Like, I can see it being a cool one-shot or, like, a running thing as, like, if she's a side character, like, if she's a member of the Avengers and that occasionally pops up in an Avengers story, could be something to play with there. I just don't know how long you could really make that or, like, let that carry a book or, like, the character, right? I mean, even Miles, when they made Miles a vampire, it's already, they undid it 2 weeks ago. Miles was a vampire for 4 months, if that. So, like, I don't even know why I'm bringing that up. But, oh, no, yeah. So, actually, no, I don't know. Miles was a vampire for less than 4 months. Marvel writing, everybody. Like, way to go. Yeah, you knocked it out of the park. But let's see. Let's check to see if Sakura shared anything more in our cord. No, we got all of the Power Ranger stuff. What kind of game even is Legacy Wars? Sakura, is it like an RPG, a fighter, a grid game? No idea. But I think with that, guys, yeah, we're running up against the 3-hour mark. It is Valentine's Day. It is Friday. I should be letting absolutely all of you go do whatever plans you've got, whether that is a hot, steamy date with your significant other, whether that's just hanging out with your bros. Go have a great weekend. Again, the reason we host this show is because we spend so much of our week trudging through just crap, whether it's, our favorite franchises being ruined, idiots, trying to integrate themselves into our hobby, any of this sort of stuff. We got to deal with it all week. And it can weigh on you. And so I want to always remind you guys every week that there's still good stuff out there. We can still laugh. I invite you to hang out with me to, kick your weekend off right, get it on a positive note, maybe recommend you something to read or watch or something you might not have considered, period. So I hope everybody, man, even with my mic being fixed, like that whole setup being fixed, I'm still hitting it all the time. Yeah. Sakura, I see the Steam charts and stuff. I don't really want to get into it right now. It's kind of a big subject for where we are. We'll probably talk about it next week, especially if I can actually get some game time with Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Sakura also says, unless Natasha was terrified to go back, or she might accidentally cause World War III by Hulk smash in Soviet Union. That's actually kind of a cool aspect too. I'd like to see that sort of played into something. I think there's actually a lot, there's a lot there. I think that's really cool. But yes, guys, I think that is where we are going to wrap it for tonight. Thanks, Marvel, for ruining Gwen Stacy. Always check your sources. I don't even know what we talked about for the first half of the show. But guys, long story short, as always, I'm so thankful that all of you guys could hang out with me, whether you were chatting like Shinkai and Timon and Sakura and Volume Dealer and Zero and Andrew. Oh my, what is wrong with my voice? And Andrew and Corey and I'm pretty sure I got them all. I'm going to say Shinkai again just because I always get really paranoid about Shinkai. Oh yeah, of course, Reed. So, if you were chatting, I love you. If you're out there watching, you're either just watching, letting me play, or you're watching this in the VOD. I love you as well. Again, without your guys' support, without you guys viewing, I would have no reason to come and host this show. And I don't know about you guys, but I'm really glad we get to hang out every Friday and sort of get this positive spin on everything. So, yeah. Other side note, just to sort of close out the holiday, if you will. To touch on what I was saying before, I get that this holiday can be hard. I get that it can be rough, especially, the loneliness can creep in. But I always want to, encourage everybody to remember, you don't have to get, it'll get to you. I get it. But there's also a lot that you got going on. You've got your friends. You've got you've got your family. You've got good manga and video games and anime to go play. Screw it, right? You don't need a girl. You need waifus. You need Miku. You need my Valentine, right? So if you're watching this, wherever you are, whoever you are, just know that if you're single, not a reflection on you. You're awesome. You're incredible. You're hanging out with me. So of course you've got fine taste. And, yeah, you know what? Go celebrate Valentine's for yourself. go grab yourself a 6-pack. Go grab yourself a pizza. Go, I don't know, go get a cake. Go, go buy yourself a rose. Get a bottle of champagne. Lock the door and see where you take you, right? But yeah, guys, so with that said, thanks for hanging out. Go enjoy your weekend. Unfortunately, I will not be seeing you tomorrow because Wolf will not be having a stream, so I won't be in that chat. But let's see. I don't even know why I just brain hiccuped right there. But if you guys want to hang out with me before next week's show, because as always, you can come back same Mav time, same Mav channel next week for another episode of Good, the Mav, the Ugly, where we will be talking about question marks, whatever comes our way this next week, and whatever you guys want to talk about, as always. So you can catch me next week here. You can catch me over on, gosh, what is my entire schedule anymore? Tuesday or Wednesday mornings. I don't know where if we're moving it, but that game place with my homies over at that Park Place. Wednesday night over on the Bounding Into Comics 01 stream, where I'm hanging out with Cider, Jacob, and Nerdigans, breaking down the bigger stories of the week. You can also find me Thursday nights, Foil Variant with Andrew, where we talk comic books. Tuesday, if I have the energy and I'm up to it, you can also find me after that show, hanging out with Marvin and the crew over at Tooneytown. And as always, boundingintocomics.com for new news every day. If you guys want to hang out with everybody or talk with us more, share more memes, talk more Sentai, secret link to the Discord, as always, is in the description down below. Valid for only a few hours so that we don't get a lot of spam and all that fun stuff. So if it's up your alley, come join us. If you missed the link, we'll have another one next week. And Zero, Sakura, Shinkai, Timon. Until next time, everybody, enjoy your weekend. I hope to see you soon. And take it easy.
As the creator of Mara Jade,
Wait! I am not the creator of Mara Jade, and I want you to get out of this office right now.
I'm sorry, Zeb.
No way.
You brought
No
it on
way.
You brought it on yourself.
I don't want you here.
I'm so
Out.
sorry, George. I didn't think it would go like this.
Out.
Ted, I got your voucher.
Out! There.
I'm sorry about that. I'm so sorry. We'll have him burned and we'll
I don't
execute
even
him
know
and
who
burned.
that guy is.